both of these players have the ability to do this, solo clutches. And in big events like this, 12-game formats, these solo clutches are going to be so vital in getting these guys into a really nice position. I must say, this burst assault rifle ex Peterbot is a crazy combo. It shouldn't be allowed because he's so good with that. And then even towards these end game situations, taking out Seti there at that final few moments just to keep himself going. Of course, too little, too late towards the end, but really great stuff. End game
their
situations.
strategy is just so clean from the start. Landing rep, getting the coin, getting the mythic AR, going over to the forecast tower, and then getting the Rift Island as well in that game, allowing them to just have a little bit of height, a little bit more mats, and more importantly, getting that mod weapon bench so that I saw Pollo kind of modifying his weapons there, getting exactly what they wanted so that they were prepared for the end game.
Dang.
I love seeing their third place. Vico.
Wait, he is using TKO. Oh wait, he's using
TKO. They didn't even need the
TKO?
victory royale, right? The fact that they made it to second place, you've already done
And
too
his
much.
lance,
You've already let them get too far in the game.
Yeah, I mean, they started it off so strong as well, getting eliminations onto Shadow and Virgo by zone 1 there. And then, of course, just dominating the low ground as we know them to do.
Yeah, exactly. Another really solid performance of these guys. We've seen them do it previously. This is exactly what we expected. Low to mid ground, finding those eliminations. And towards the end there, where it was the final 2v2, it was kind of like Major 3, where it was two of the best teams in EU going head to head. Of course, two different, very different play styles. These guys are not necessarily going to be going for height every single game. But of course, what I noticed there was a little bit of a change in rotation. They went towards the north side of their drop spot. So interesting to see whether that's going to change throughout the day, whether the forecast tower fight's going to affect that. But really nice start from these guys.
That's right, guys. I know you want more action. We can talk more about this, but let's just jump back into it. MDF, the best taco. Back over to you.
Yeah, that was a very intense game. Obviously, as we're coming out, you know, I couldn't even believe it. I almost, you know, just threw the whole mic off the headset. I was really into it for a second there.
Yeah, and the craziest part still, of course, we have two EU teams duking it out to close off our first lobby here, and match number 2 is ready to go.
Match 2. Wait, they have
Are they gonna? Yeah, are they gonna?
The battle bus has left the station. Match number 2 is here. What do we have in store for us this game? I mean, last one was surely a surprise with the Middle Eastern teams taking a top 10 position. One Asia team up there as well. And of course, those that you expect. The best from NA, some of the great from EU.
Yeah, and Acorn and Cold, they haven't necessarily had an easy time about it either here at Brutal Beachhead. You know, you get like the soft contest coming out of Analyx and Sato, and this could prove to be very difficult though for Analyx and Sato, because you can tell the commitment is there, but if they want to take this fight to Acorn and Cold, it could be a really difficult one to actually close out in quick fashion.
We have to give all credit to not only Clix and Vino for Clix's performance to stay alive and Resigns, who found even more placement points, ending just closer to that top 10. So a very impressive performance for teams that were contested that game, actually. When you start to do the math on that, that is almost unprecedented.
Well, it was almost like Davo and Resigns were trailing Clix and Veno the entire match, and if they hadn't actually stumbled upon Kishuro as a solo, I almost wonder if things could have maybe gone a little differently there, because that's what really got them tied up into a rough position. But again, hindsight's always 20/20. Currently, we are focused on the now. Chap and Teeny lingered around the Nitrodrome, but Kanata and Cooper by means that all they can really look for here is just trying to prioritize their mat count.
Yeah, we do know Kanata and Cooper like to rotate closer to Agers.
No,
and
why
Ryan,
did
who
you
was
stop
taken out pretty early last game, so they didn't get to secure that fight, and they found themselves in a completely different battle up against Visual and Braids, and it really didn't go their way. Shortly afterwards, Braids ended up falling to Epic Whale Muzz, so pretty interesting, you know, zone dynamics starting to take shape here, and that's really part of the high level of Fortnite. Game to game, micro adjusting, right? They all know what went well, what went wrong, and it's about adjusting in the real time. But here's Seiyun, here's Kadu against Casper and Prism. Little stands off here, so it seems like this game, similar to match 1, is gonna kind of take its time rolling into the eliminations.
Yeah, Janice almost seemingly happy about the fact that these teams kind of caught wind of each other, because that allowed for him to just slip on by, head on out, a red line rig, make sure that he doesn't get caught in the mix. He's clearly just trying to make a play for that reboot man, because I didn't see Fixie anywhere near, so almost makes you wonder at the same time. It's going to be a difficult situation for a lot of these teams.
Here's Cammy and Seti. They have angles, they have a little bit of high ground. Meanwhile, King and Phaser getting active right now just outside the Rebels' roost. What is happening here? They seem to be finding their groove right now. It's Visual and Braids once again who are giving some of these duos a really difficult time, making them all second guess whether or not they should be sticking around and fighting them. So, you know, that's impressive.
Yeah, but this is also a really smart disengage from King and Phaser, recognizing the fact Sky Scroll still nearby as well. Rebels Roost just a little bit too poppin' for their interest at the moment, but even hanging around the underworld could pose some issues because they didn't stick around for the fight. Don't know how much surge damage they've actually been able to accrue at this stage, and once we start getting into that mid-game rotation aspect of the we already saw a handful of teams, even some of the teams that you wouldn't necessarily anticipate to struggle with their surge damage, having issues.
Very interesting. We get to catch up with Batman Booga and Rapid here at the Grim Gate. This has been their drop spot for quite some time, coming out of Major 3, of course, with an excellent performance. You know, if you start looking at the paper trail of Rapid and Batman Booga, everyone's marking them up towards the top 3 as far as the NA teams are concerned. And talking about top 3, it wouldn't be one without Cold and Acorn. They're just putting teams down. This time, they do finish the fight up against Andalex and Sato. They don't let them escape.
But now something that Sato and Andalex are potentially going to have to start considering is if this keeps going in favor of Acorn and Cold, if they continue to take the fight to them, do you switch for day 2? But I think we still got a few more lobbies to work through before that really starts to become the real question mark here. For Stash Malabuka, though, starting off somewhat on the right foot here at Restored Reels. One elimination already. Curious if one of those is onto either Alex or Worthy.
Oh my gosh, something happened there, but Bolts and Bryce are in a fight right now. A little build-off happening here. This is a pretty intensive early game fight for...
Oh my gosh.
Given the situation, a Zone 1 Sky base going on here. This is going to be a full-on reset if it doesn't end fast. It's up against Vico and Flixie. You know, obviously, our second place coming out of game 1. Very much fired up, very much confident.
Bryce and Bolt are not going to fold here, though. The forecast tower, the weapons bunker that spawns nearby Dupenhazen, where Bolt and Bryce like to land. And this is something that, you know, they were willing to contest Reet and Ritual for when it was Reet and Ritual at Reckless Railway. So now Vico Flixie having taken over that position. And it's funny because you asked Vico in the player lounge last night, hey, what do you think about the forecast tower? He's like, that's my forecast tower. You ask any of these players who are actually trying to contest, they'll always tell you the same thing. That's my forecast. And yet, Vico, Flixie, they find themselves stuck because Bryce and Bolt either need to get eliminated or forced out here. Whoever controls the NPC is going to win.
It's pretty incredible. You got to talk with Vico. I got to talk with Bolts and Bolts' brother, and they had nothing but positive things to say and honestly confidence about the fact that this is their forecast tower, and he's here, and he believes that paired up with Bryce, they are a perfect combination. So very interesting to see that both teams very much feel like they're entitled to this drop. Vico and Flixie seem to be the first, of course, boots on the ground here. They're going to secure the card, which means they have everything that they need here to go ahead and be the one to get the first dibs. But Bolts comes in, takes down Flixie from up above. Whose tower is it?
Vico might have that key card, but how long can he really hold on to it? He's trying to just get out of dodge at this point, creating as much space as possible. But you know Bolts and Bryce, now that they've isolated Vico by forcibly eliminating Flixie, they're going to chase him. They do not want to let him escape with that forecast key card.
And this is not just an elimination. This is not just a player. That is someone who holds the keys to every single storm for the remainder of this game. It is worth so much more than just a set of points. Bolts and Bryce have to think long and hard, and they end up easing off for a second because Clone and Kromsu is waiting for them, and Bryce is going to be one of the first to fall now as he gets ambushed.
This was almost like an unexpected gift. Clone and Kromsu were situated exclusively for the bunker, and yet when Vico tried to escape because he recognized the fact, hey, I've just got to play for the reboot. I just need to get Flixie back into this game. We'll deal with the forecast later. But Praty and Clown, dude, too slick with it.
Yeah, yeah.
That was just dirty right there to get boxed up. But look, Bolts has the card. So he actually ends up finding Vico potentially here, or no?
Vico
Maybe,
dropped it.
Yeah,
Christmas,
he ends
I
up
remember
dropping
get a
it just so that he
240
doesn't, bring that heat with
or
him.
for my
So
birthday.
very, very interesting turn of events here.
I think for
But
Christmas
Sharon
or my
might have
birthday, I'm gonna
forecast
get
secured,
240
but at what cost? Because realistically, if I'm Gramzu, I'm not letting you escape.
Ren
And that's the thing,
underscore
Vico
King
knew
Peasadoo
that there was
said,
no reason for him to
Can
try
I
to hold on.
coin?
He did not have the materials to feasibly escape unless he gave up that key card.
I actually love that we got to see him drop the key card as well, right? Just saying, hey, look, you can have it, man. My hands are in the air. White flag is waved. Go ahead, take it, and he plays for another day. That just really shows you what this tournament means, right? That's not an interaction you'll have in any regular game, right? There's just something so prestigious about the Fortnite Global Championship that even the players give respect to one another like that. It's incredible.
Wait,
to watch.
let me.
Wow,
Hold on.
this is
Aiden's gonna let me
looking
join.
like a
I just had.
menacing
Oh wait, I'm in.
situation
Oh.
building up currently, though.
Hello?
Clicks,
Alright, one
Venom,
second.
Boom, Chaptini,
Oh my
Camisetti.
gosh.
I don't think we could
Aiden,
ask
just kick him.
for anything better. at
Aiden,
this
just kick him.
stage.
Yo,
The
where's
fact of the
Giddy?
matter is, all these teams are just fixated on one thing, and it's likely the weapons bunker.
You
Just
hear
going
it
away
opening
mode.
up right now, and Clicks and Vino the first to fold as
He's
they
gonna be
recognize,
annoying.
hey, there are 4 teams here. This is not the greatest idea. They double back to the campfire. They'll get their chance at the bunker, right? They'll be able to pick up some scraps, get their attachments.
Clicks.
But first, sit things
Vino
out,
and
let them settle.
Clicks.
I like that flyby though, Janice and Pixie,
did
so
Vino
it
get
looks
X?
like Janice's rescue mission was a success. He was able to make his way towards a reboot van, but again, you have to start to wonder what kind of damage was he able to collect prior to losing Pixie.
Peterbot.
And now, Reckless Railway's heating up one more time because Vico double back, brought Flixie into it.
Oh no.
But now Shadow and Virgo trying to see if they can pose a threat.
Vico.
Listen, Shadow, someone I've known for a long time. I've followed his career closely. He is a very, very scary player. Once he starts to get situated, Game 1 jitters are out of the way now. Him and Virgo have been nothing but successful as a duo here. But wait a second, Vico and Flixby, as we know, again, are EU's best right now. Clearly some of the strongest fighters on the region.
Toby meme for
And
you.
then you have OCE's
Said.
Danith and Tinka,
Hi.
right? Champions of OCE lurking nearby, seeing what's happening here. Trying to put OCE's stamp on it.
But Vico and Flixie, I mean, we're talking about you major 3 winners at this stage, right? You've got to imagine the level of confidence. Even when you talk to either of them, they are just reeking of confidence, essentially, and for good measure, because Vico, Flixie, they've been successful, despite the fact that Vico was incredibly low on material count as well. He's still able to stave off Shadow and Virgo, and that is not an easy feat by any means.
Jumping to the other side here. Dukes and Sphinx trying to figure out what's happening down here south on the zone as things are just starting to develop. Clearly shots are coming in from teams in the distance. Meanwhile, Queasy has that high ground. Chapter lurking up, trying to see how he can possibly get involved. Teeny already sitting on the base for a moment there. You couldn't even tell.
I don't even know if it's Queasy that's in danger nearly as much as what it might be Thomas HD when he tries to work his way back towards the surge base he has with Queasy. You can hear the Monarch pistol, shots flying out overhead. Thomas making his way back towards him, but he scouted it out. Managed to throw up a wall just in the nick of time. Queasy also on high alert now. But Chaptini, they've made enough noise. Other teams in the distance actually trying to take side shots at them.
Gotta respect Thomas HD's ability to not only see them and react faster than they can land a shot on him, but to also get up to high
Cost
ground
them nothing, too.
before it was too late. And look, they're gonna just go ahead and get off of there. They're like, wait, that team, they wanna fight? No, we don't need that. They give them the respect. They back off the restored reels. They play for center zone now. And this is a very, very good early rotate to go ahead and find a new position here, find some new real estate, if you will. Meanwhile, at the Grim Gate, we have another rise in Yuma. Phenomenal performance.
Is it in Texas?
Came off to a hot start with 2. Look, we look away, we blink for a second, and the double headshot onto Phaser.
The lineup is just nasty. You can just tell that Thomas HD and Queasy are probably ecstatic about that loot llama they essentially just picked up from the knock.
Yeah, I don't even know if they want to cross over to pick up the loot. At this point, it would end up being all
I know
too
why
risky with King
Tenny
nearby,
and
but
Chap won. They have Peterbot's
haven't stopped their
FNCS
pursuits
winning
onto
skin.
different duos. I'm feeling like maybe they're not getting enough tags in these fights.
It can also be so disorienting to other teams in the lobby when you're dealing with the likes of Chapatini, because they're just barreling down onto anybody that they encounter. They could care less about the caliber of player that they are dealing with in the process.
No.
The eliminations, and to clear out the space to make sure that their rotations maintain their smoothness. But Giannis,
He would have
way
gotten
below,
caught.
Chapatini are currently boxed up, and they are not the only ones. Premsu, Clone, lurking overhead. Persa, Ed as well. Close enough that they could definitely tango if they wanted to.
Chapantini, 130 below. Just mentioned that they're not finding the tag, and it's very clear, regardless of how many teams they've managed to fight, it just hasn't been successful. But this, so far, looking like the best here. Double armor walls come out. That's going to slow down all of their momentum here. And if I'm being honest, I think they have to keep pursuing it, find a new angle, do something else. They can't afford to stop at this point. Teeny's got a new angle here. He's behind Pixie now. The other duo, basically.
Peter. Or
Not
Clicks.
looking good for the Brazilian duos. Not looking too good for EU's Jonas.
Yeah, it looks like they're about to lose it all. Uh-oh. Chap's dead.
Find the one, and it's so close, but he's going to be the first to fall.
Pixie kind of reminding Chap, hey, we're familiar
Oh,
with each other
no.
for a reason. But Giannis and Pixie, they just had too much
Nah,
of an advantage.
Yuma and Rise are
trickling
te-
in
probably
essentially
gonna-
and just put
technically
too
gonna
much
be in
pressure
first.
onto Chap and Teeny. They were just taking recklessly aggressive
Oh my
fights,
gosh,
not methodically
bro.
calculated ones.
Reminder, Falcons, Teeny, and Chap were your first place team coming into match number 2. They are now down and out, effectively opening up the leaderboards for other teams to start to climb on up now.
Casper and Prism as well. I think that this is a duo that has really caught some pretty big attention given their recent performances in EU. Casper as well.
They rushed.
Finds FKS.
They thought they were Peterbot and Pollo.
That flashback moment, but Janice, Pixie,
They were not
Pixie
Peterbot.
especially is in a really
They're
rough
still there.
position,
They're just,
trying
it's
to deal
just
with
not.
Quanti at the same time as well, but these two know they've just got to disengage. They need an opportunity to get that make hit off, so Pixie will find a moment here, but Quanti still good pose, pretty big threat. All depends on how Janice and Pixie actually choose to leave from this current position.
Wait, Aiden, how do I fix
Epic
my
right now. Also,
Oh snap!
below the storm surge here, they just need
How
a
do I
little
fix my
tag.
DNS server?
Bring
or
your
whatever?
focus down to that bottom right, that map. We're in zone 5 out of 12, right? So
Oh, they're
we're
getting
into the
freaking-
late part of the game. Things are gonna get to
That
real
epic
small
whale,
with the
epic
circle,
6X.
and it's only gonna become more and more difficult if you're one of those teams that don't have heals.
The
How
problem
do they
is
already
when
have
you're also a
surge?
team like Muzz and Epic, you had the shield, you had the white heals, but
they need
you're
damage,
losing
bro.
all of it because you're just underneath that storm surge.
Slap
Finally,
juice.
they'll manage to catch a break in the form of damage, and they'll look to try and see what they can.
It's one of those situations.
Huh?
Little update there as Adapter and FKS
Oh, snap.
fully eliminated.
Oh.
So 10th place
Uh-oh,
is out,
Cammy's
first place is
gonna-
out. Cammy and Seti not looking too great right here. Below the damage threshold as well. Again, what that means is that lightning bolt is going to start coming down from the sky. They're going to start losing 25 HP over the course of
Flixie's
time.
dead.
Periodically,
Flixie's
it'll
gotta
start
be
to add
dead.
up.
He's one.
Flixie and Vico. This is why they're fighting all the teams, because they need to. Otherwise, they will be sent back to the lobby for not doing enough damage. Here it is.
He's
Vico
top-
gets slammed in on
top
from
5.
2 angles.
Oh.
Carey gets crushed by a devastating shot.
Dang.
Vico hits the one that he needs to. Meanwhile, Rise and Yuma jump into the mix here. This is a team in the lead here.
my,
Vico though,
Vico.
is so good that he is putting
Vico
up
is
numbers
crazy
up
right
against
now.
every single region right now. It's still defending for his teammate.
He's just trying to make sure that he can throw Flixie into a safe position. Revive is clearly on his mind. Armored walls are going to be sent out. Yuma, Rise, they're hoping that they can try to collapse, but I fear the moment has left them. Vico doing so much when it mattered most to hold his ground. And sure enough, the revive is a success. Flixie has been brought back into this battle, and that's going to cause Rise and Yuma to reconsider whether they actually want to take this engagement.
And that was our current first and second place teams basically to be going head to head. But let's jump in with Clone and Kramsu right now. Another team very, very desperate here to find a fight. Clicks and Epic Whale are the team not so desperate but ready to defend. But oh, they lose the walls first. This is not looking good,
nice!
But they end up
Oh!
so fast.
They're crazy!
And then the second before
They're crazy! They're actually crazy!
You know this guy's been taking some tips from Menno. I mean, he's
oh
been
my
his own
god!
kind of master class at this stage.
The edit in, caught by Vino there. The trap was delayed. So good.
Flip.
That's exactly the kind of bounce back too that you would hope for, especially when
14?
you consider game number 1 probably got a little bit more messy than what they'd initially intended. So moments like that can really captivate a lot of momentum.
You make a great point. The first game was really difficult for them. They spend a little too much time inside the storm. So look, already micro adjustments are come in, but Muzz and Epic Whale here. Muzz is down. Or sorry, Epic Whale's down. Muzz is by himself. He finds the tags that he needs, doubles back to save his teammate.
You know,
as the Storm Surge was doing damage, and Vidil and Reason are recognizing, wait a second, why did you stop pushing here? Something clearly went wrong. Now.
Do you know, like, do you just wait when you die, like at LAN tournaments?
Really work with. I mean, it's all but over for him at this point if Vidil and Reason want to push.
Ren_King definitely
said yes.
Look for a clutch opportunity. The real issue that I'm seeing right now, though, MDF, Baka, Pars, right behind where Muzz is currently fixated. And if he wants to press forward, Vidil and Reason on the other end of these walls, it's going to cost Muzz so much if he's able to escape this as far as his builds are concerned. He's already looking low on that material count.
Yeah, you saw him look through the wall. I was like, wait, what's left there? Nothing. And I think that was a mistake because now Varial and
there's more people
Reason
in the
can
circle
tell, wait,
than
he's still pretty close, and they definitely know he's a weakened solo. But hey, if Muzz can stay alive, he has the zone, he'll be okay for a little bit of time. Placement points are just moments away. Take a look from the other perspective, how the damage ended up racking up there. An excellent tag by Reason, and then the Surge finishes the job there in the end. So very, very close. Had, you know, they not had that problem, they definitely were the team ahead. But here's a team that hasn't really found their footing just yet. Peterbot and Pollo trying to figure it out in match number 2 right now.
Well, you say that, but Peterbot was kind of on a rampage in our first lobby. But this time, obviously, hoping that he can do it alongside his duo, Bifoli, Kayota. They are met with an armored wall. The moment that they try to aggress onto Pars and Baka, and be forced to drop to the low ground, seeing they could try chuck out these floors from underneath, but Pars, Baka, they recognize there's too much desperation from this duo. We don't need to take any sort of risky peeks. We're just gonna stay them back.
Kit is cooked.
They kind of have to though, but no, Bifoli goes up to the box by himself. Baka and Pars are some of the best to do it though, and they hit their tags. Literally granted a huge opportunity there to get comfortable and situated in this game now. Meanwhile, Clix and Vino on a huge rotate here across the map. Talk about a night and day position to be in.
Yeah.
Eland, material, and much more to work with right now. Clix though has to buy some time, get a little healthy here. Starting to run out of shields to work with though, but still, they get time to regather themselves, to compose themselves for a moment.
The most important part was looking at both of their material counts. That is a strong build count for them to work with, and they're gonna need every bit of it, because when you look at Titans like Thomas HT and Queasy up on the high ground already, just trying to take advantageous shots, and any of these teams that are starting to trickle their way in, trying to see if they can suppress as many duos as possible to those mid and low ground layers.
Well, here it is. It seems like they've been able to catch a little bit of extra information there. Now looking for teams nearby. Bryson Bolt's going to be one of the first to go ahead and be in the line of sights here. But the zone hasn't popped just yet. They know it's got to go north. They're working their way through this build here. The cover's been blown, and they back off. Happy with the few tags, but still, they need more eliminations. surely more placement points if they want to jump up to top 5, as those teams are still in this game. Meanwhile, Queasy still ramping his way across the high ground, right?
And that's for sure. Queasy, Thomas, they're going to try to hold on to hype for as long as possible. Ideally, the entire game, if possible, like what we saw at Chapatini in the last match. But Acorn cold.
Oh
Very
no, he
efficient,
broke the
found a
bush.
slight dead side rotate despite so much congestion having pooled in the real center
Oh,
of the
no,
last zone.
the-
But everybody's got to get a move on now. Pollo, Peterbot just doing what they can to stay ahead of the pack. That reveal medallion as
Bro,
well
Clix
to
and
help them
Vino are
pinpoint some of these
chilling.
solos that might be running through these pre-existing builds.
Yeah, those extra layers.
Oh,
right there. Look at
oh
this.
my-
Vino catching up with a tear there. Peterbot and Pollo find Yuma as well, effectively taking down some of that immediate competition, right? You want to start dropping those players that are up at the top of the standings if you want to jump over them. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be very, very hard to do, but they are doing just that. Meanwhile, the wider shot tells us the whole story. There's an indestructible bridge separating the high ground layers from the lows.
And Pico, Flixie, they didn't manage to find the victory royale the way that they would have hoped in match 1. And now, staring down their own demise here. Flixie gonna get knocked. Pico not gonna have an opportunity either to recover this one. Just too much pre-existing pressure. But Peterbot could go massive here.
Still going.
Acorn's gonna get caught out. And Peterbot gets the shutdown.
But someone comes from behind, and down goes Peterbot. Just like that, it's Cold to the rescue basically here, making up for lost time there. And at the end of the day, the real winner here is Cold. He gets more placement points. He gets to heal out now and kind of wait this one out. Meanwhile, Clix is still alive here, working his way through the game. Queasy and Thomas make their way up to the Rift Island. They are looking better than ever. There is so much material to farm back up here as well.
It's looking next to impossible for anybody to try and effectively challenge for high MDF, but we see great things happen. Clicks on the other hand, alongside of Beto, they're gonna fall back to back. Trulex and Chicho now seeing if they can try and finagle their way into that top leaderboard placements, but Deal's gonna be the next one they knock. Reason forced to play this one out as a solo.
Game 2 already looking kind of crazy. Reason takes down Burstash there, and he gets to secure the medkit. That's a
Second medallion.
pick up right there. The medallion as well to give him that little bit of extra push here. And look at that. Of all the players that came into this game inside the top 5, Chicho and Trulix are one of the only ones standing here now. With 8 eliminations, they have ran their way up the standings and put themselves into this incredible conversation of a team to look out for right now. Rise and Agers, a great performance. Booga and Rapid show up and get put down, and now it's a top 3, but it's just Pars and Baka down here. Queasy and Thomas have all the time in the world.
Queasy and Thomas are sitting like kings right now at height, just watching all this catastrophe unfold underneath. Chicho, Trulex, they know they've got to deal with this team on high ground. All you see is the armored walls stacked in the sky. Trulex gonna opt for the medkit play instead, hope that he can outlast Baka in the process. But again, at the end of the day, he's just staring down Queasy and Thomas on height.
They're starting to look down here. They're starting to put some tags in. They see what's going on. It's just a matter of moments. 8 eliminations for Queasy and Thomas. They look up, who's trying to land on us? And of course, it's the one and only coming out the storm, Baka there, who just went with a desperate play. Meanwhile, Trulex down low. If he starts to focus in here, he falls so fast.
They've got him.
And Baka has high ground now. This is scary, but the tag is so good for Queasy.
And then still
snap.
Queasy already had the record for most victory royales in FNCS finals, but he extends that from 25 to now 26 with this last victory royale. Incredible stuff. I want to hear more of what Ada has to say.
That's right, yeah. Would you please give it up forward for Thomas HD and Queasy? Hop up for me, fellas. Everyone wants to see those faces. Let me see those faces. You know, 8 eliminations, a great start to proceedings there. Queasy, I mean, what is it like playing with someone like Thomas? He's got the eye of the tiger. He sees things that no one else sees.
I don't have to worry about Surge. I literally did like 200 damage that game, and we were 600 above or something, so it's pretty easy.
I mean, Thomas, you've been there. You've got almost every single T-shirt, but the FNCS Global Championships, that would be the icing on the cake. Game 2, it's now yours. What have you felt out there so far? What do you feel in the lobby and players around you that are kind of causing you a bit of concern?
I mean, it's like really nice to play on the stage again. Like, we only have like 2 lands a year, so yeah. I'm just happy we won a game, like, and we can prove ourselves finally.
I'm seeing as well, Queasy. I mean, there's a lot of fans out here. Hey, you got cheering you guys' names all the time. Let them hear Fort Worth, Queasy and Thomas HD. Let them hear you. Come on. Right. How does it feel to compete as well in front of an audience like this as well? Obviously, there's 10 games left, but are you embracing every second of this alongside your partner?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I got some important people in the audience that told me that I should go hide and not die, and that's what I did, and we won the game.
Okay, I'd love to see it. And one more time, would you please, Fort Worth, give it up your Game 2 winners, Thomas and Queasy! Yeah. Doesn't that feel good? Doesn't that feel good here in the Raw? You guys have been amazing. You guys at home as well have been fantastic. A quick break from us again here on the main show, but do not go anywhere. There's loads more coming away. 4 more games today. Don't go anywhere.
I'm back. You can hear me, right? Aiden, can you hear me? Aiden. Aiden. Hello? Hello? Okay. I know.
Welcome back, everyone, to the FNCS Global Championship. We just wrapped up game number 2. Queasy, Thomas HD get themselves the victory royale. And on top of that, 10 eliminations. They are looking for that Global Championship title. We interviewed them. You saw the confidence. They're here to play.
Well, Zeke, you went ahead and said on top of that. What about being on top of the lobby, Levin? I mean, Queasy, typical, finding himself up on the higher ground. But the most impressive thing for me that game is, it's been very, very hard throughout the entirety of the year to play these metas from 8th zone, maintain the high ground throughout the entirety of the end game. But they did it.
I mean, look, you say typical, but if you've been watching the EU this year, it's not been typical of Queasy, right? This year, we've had to suffer and watch Queasy do this whole willing to see him up on height. I think everybody expected to see them sort of be playing on all sorts of layers today, but seeing them up there, right, they looked comfortable. They looked like they're in their element. All throughout this game, Thomas HD, another level when it came to shots he was able to hit, and you saw them just wiping out people below in this game. A top game from Queasy and Thomas.
Just wild to consider, right? Like the fact that they took height around like 8th zone and they just held it, and no one thinks about contesting them. They head on over to Rift Island, flying above. They're like, hey, we don't even have to build. And if anything happens, we've got launch pads out if something were to go crazy. Them getting this victory out is very, very scary, right? Because now they're kind of setting a precedent. You give us high ground, you give us a victory royale.
Starting to see the effect, right, of some of the other teams be
TKO
impacted earlier on in the game, right? Like, we haven't really seen a Peterbot and Pollo alive in either one of these first 2 games yet, right? We know Clix and Veno also struggling throughout that early game, not really able to find their footing either, which are typical names that we might see go up there or apply pressure. But right now, I mean, when they find themselves up there, if there's no pressure being applied, it might be a little too easy for them.
I mean, I think the great thing for Queasy and Thomas here is that, of course, a lot of people saw that they were going to be landing towards that southeast, and they wondered, landing at that base, are they really going to be able to cook, especially with far zones, right? This zone pulled all the way across the map, and we saw that they were able to play out of that spot with relative ease, causing problems in the mid-game, really nice surge-based positioning as well. They clearly have a game plan locked in here that seems to be working.
Absolutely, and we actually have a listen-in from that moment on height. So let's take a look at this.
You don't have a dash? Yeah, I have one. Okay. 1 or 2. I can't
74. Goes far. I'm single layering. We're gonna have to dash and fight though. Top 3. 2 duos. Maybe we fizz and drop down right now. We fizz and drop down right now for sure. I have armored still.
Bring that top.
Yeah.
I'm dropping late, okay?
Yeah.
Down late. I have no ammo. Can we drop the low ground or what?
Yeah, okay. Well, we can...
Fizz.
Okay. Yeah. Fight this guy, yeah.
Look up,
Kill last one, yeah. Get high, don't die! Get high, don't die! Come on, man. It's too easy. It's too easy.
You heard it. Get hyped, don't die. That's all their concerns. Just 2 things. We got to do this game. And man, just to see and like get to hear those comms is really special, because we kind of get a little sneak peek into how they're choosing to operate. So calm, right? Very little comms. They're not like, hey, we're top 2. Don't freak out. Don't panic. It's just like, hey, here's the information. Top 2. Let's drop. Let's do this.
I mean, it was a great example of just the dynamics of that team, right? Queasy with very clear communication, that strong leadership. That's why he's considered one of the best IGLs this game's ever seen. But still having the trust in Thomas. When Thomas made a call and said, I want to do this, let's do this, following that and sticking to that, committing to that, great teamwork.
Resource management, planning out the rest of the game before it even happens. But that little thing that I saw at the end there, you saw Thomas, he was editing out the floor. So that way the tarps above them actually would fall, right? They would break away. So that way Baka had nothing to kind of land on that was actually inside of the zone. Took away every single advantage possible from the competitors.
Those little things, right? Those little nuanced decision makings, so incredible. We saw there in the first place. Trulix and Chicho in first place by a massive margin there. And to think in this, they picked up 8 eliminations, right? So remember, we don't always need those victory royale. That helps, but if we're placing top 3 with 8 elims, y'all better look out.
Listen, me and Levin, we were sitting down in the practice area yesterday. Shout out to Reed. Was having a little bit of a conversation.
Where's Mr. Savage and Mongrel? Oh.
So random, and to see them make it into the end game is really no surprise when you kind of take that sort of strategy into account.
I think the big surprise here for anyone that's familiar with Trulix and Chicho is they're not the type of team you want to see or expect to see having 9 eliminations, right? There's a low elimination players. They play out their mats really well. They play out their med kits like we saw them do there, right? Had the 3 med kits. Once they ran out of the mats in the end game, you play your med kits, clutch up some extra placement points. But if they're going to be able to do that, Zeke, popping off and getting high elimination games, we could see them repeat the success they had last year at the Global Championships.
That is so crazy. And a final thing here to call out, Peterbot once again in a situation he's left as a solo. This game, though, was a little bit different from them. They were kind of in shambles there, which is a little bit uncharacteristic.
Yeah, I think still kind of finding the necessary amount of surge, I think, towards the later part of the game, right? I know we tuned in with them towards the earlier zones, like 3rd and 4th, and their storm surge seemed very, very fine. But as you can see right there, a little bit of struggles led to some material deficiency right there, and just the fight going for that Pollo goes down, and yeah, again, Peterbot kind of left as a solo, but we've kind of seen those performances throughout the year with Peterbot, and these are the type of games that Peterbot pulls out the enough points to kind of hang on for the duo. Exactly.
The worst it gets.
I know. Though.
Right. Right. Exactly. Look, crazy, but we're getting right back into action. There's more Battle Bus action to go, so this is game number 3. Casters, up to you.
Thank you guys so much. And yeah, MDF, we are approaching the halfway point here in day 1. But what's even crazier to consider is still, sure, it's match 3, but tomorrow, 6 more games to work with and a 1.5 times point multiplier.
Yeah, that's right. And that's where teams start to hit the drawing board. I mean, Vino has expressed this before to us in his interviews. Day 2 is always the hardest, especially for players like him that focus so heavily into that day 1 prep. So this foundation that has to get built here and now is extremely important. Let's jump on the Battle Bus one more time.
And just like that, match number 3 is upon us. The Battle Bus is departing one more time here today. And I think also, MDF, one thing we're really going to get a chance to see is how the micro adjustments continue to unfold, because at this stage, you really want to make sure you're setting yourself up for the best recipe for success heading into day 2, but this halfway mark could really be the telling tale.
Yeah, and we're kind of jumping back to match 1 vibes right here. CalGamer, Haman versus CZB and Nathan. They won the first fight, kind of fizzled out the second. This one now is all up to Cal right here. Cal finds the first tag and no duo in sight yet. Kind of runs off to a safe spot. Very smart position to put him in. Meanwhile, Nathan has more time to go ahead and start healing up, but no material. We all know Fortnite's a game of builds and attrition, and if you have the mats, you usually have the fight in the bag. CalGamer comes on top for the Middle East.
That is a big clutch opportunity there for CalGamer, because him and Aman definitely need to start rebuilding
here's
a little
Alex
bit more in terms of that leaderboard, but again, they're not the only ones with that vision in mind. Merstash, Malabuka, restored reels one more time. Oshi, Worthy, and Alex.
They have one.
I love seeing them lurk in the horizon, but the way that they've chosen to split that POI is pretty interesting.
I want to see more Worthy perspective in Alex there, but we have to see what's happening here between Oshi and Middle East here. This is a really big fight for FKS and Adapter, whom are winning at the moment. Tinka goes down, Daneth is down as well, and FKS and Adapter collapse from both angles so perfectly. Look at it from Adapter's perspective, just catches him in the nest there, in the danger web, and it is over before they can even put down a build.
Have to love that supportive fire coming in as well. Perfect timing. Phaser and King, though, slight world of hurt here. Phaser trying to do what he can, but at the same time, we'll have to just check back in with him, see how he manages.
Do we have chicken?
But at the same time, we'll have to see Medkit's getting tossed out. But Merstash and Malabuka manage to take this one over yet again. 2 eliminations in the bag, plenty of heals to work with as well, so they'll be able to recuperate nicely.
Take a look from Merstash's perspective there. He lands a great tag on Worthy so fast. And Malabuka finishes off Alex, who's a little weak there. Almost finishes Malabuka even with the HP disadvantage, proving that he definitely had the better shot, but just gonna come up short there. Meanwhile, Threats and Trashy have gone up against Peterbot and Pollo, and you can see the results of that. Not very good for Trashy at the moment, but Man City Threats, if it's one thing that we know, is that he's a veteran of North America. He's gonna stick around and try to put down some numbers here.
And a lot of players, definitely big fans of that thermal scope as well, but it's going to take more than 1 or 2 nice shots for Threats to work his way out of this position. Keep in mind, he's still possibly going to get sandwiched here if he's not careful. Peterbot Pollo still close enough that they could continue to play spoiler there for Threats. Close enough that they could continue to play their way through Charon's Crossing. Not really interested in sticking around.
The Fraser gets inside the tunnel. We've seen some very fun plays go down here, but this dynamic not too exciting. And I mean, it's just simple math, right? There's only so many places you could be. Here, takes down Shari. They already took down King.
Hello?
Concerned right now.
Hey, we already heard what the comm sounded like for Queasy and Thomas and what their intention is as far as the matches here today. Just get height, don't get eliminated. It's as simple as that, or at least it sounds like it on paper, but taking height in the first place is the real challenge.
It's so easy, right? Just do it, basically, is what Queasy's trying to say here. Keep the mentality locked in, and they do just that. And honestly, I think the more important insight, how much he depends and relies on Thomas HD, knowing that, hey, Surge, we got it covered. I have one of the best duelists, right? Like in the game right here, in the world. Thomas HD, no stranger to hitting those shots when they matter. Meanwhile, Flixie and Vico, they have to make up for that shortcoming in game number 2, falling in the mid game.
Yeah, and it's all gonna pop off here yet again by the Forecast Tower. One that's situated in between Reckless Railway, Mount Olympus. And realistically, Bryce Bolts, you have to keep in mind, different in their backyard, and that's exactly what they're after. They find Job and Michael trying to just sneak around the low ground, but it's not gonna work this time as Bolts and Bryce find their first elimination. That's a nice amount of surge damage as well, so they can afford now to stay engaged in this fight for the Forecast Tower in comparison to maybe Vico, Flixie, depending on what their surge tags might look like.
Yeah, and you know, Job and Michael had that strategy. They were to come in with this surprise contest, and it just seems like things are a little difficult for them. But Swizzy and Jocko, right, talking about coming over insurmountable difficulties just to make it this far. Swizzy finding his footing here. He's gonna take down Ping and Walks. Just one of the two for now, but still, elimination starting to fall their way. These are critical points now for the tournament standings. On the other side, Clix and Vino make it out of the drop. And now they're on their way to the north side of the zone here. Still cold, so dangerous on the outskirts here.
Cold, making sure to just use the natural terrain, keep himself as
Clutch
concealed
FM
as
memes.
possible.
Said,
But again,
remember me?
Clix and Veno are more than aware of just how much attention the Forecast Tower is bound to draw towards them and their initial rotates, but it seems as if Veno and Clix were a little bit more fixated on trying to deal with Shari, Kiras, but now having to look back because of the tags that came into play from Fold and Acorn, and Sherry probably a little bit happy about having some of that pressure alleviated temporarily.
I saw Vino saying, wait, is that a solo rotating back here? So he's a little bit more keen now to rotate towards that duo. Nice find on the Cactus here. This map awareness from Clix and Vino, given that this is their natural terrain, is flexing right now. But Geras and Shari, they let up the pedal a little bit, and all of a sudden now they're perched up above them. Flixie and Vico here do not want to give this one up here, though. They have chased Michael into the storm, who Michael just wants to save his teammate Job, but no. He's pushed the wrong way. First through Bryce and Bolts, now through Vico and Flixie, and just like that, it's over.
One of the beauties of LAN, I wish you guys could have witnessed it. Vico's mom getting a chance to see him in action, just shouting the moment that they find those eliminations. Love to see that kind of cheer forward. As Reet and Ritual, they're going to depend on each other here, trying to power through the likes of Toyota and Meeple.
He's not. Oh, he's not. Oh,
he has more than enough to recover, though. But what he needs is for Reet to continue to buy him time.
Yeah, I think
so much pressure. Both Meeple and Toyota choosing to take the same angle, at least for right now. But that could provide the wiggle room opportunity here for Reet and Ritual to get a wraparound effect.
We get to lock in right now.
yeah.
Asia has had quite the appearance so far. I'm looking at the standings on the side, but things are starting to get updated here. I'm seeing teams fall, players and teams get eliminated as things continue to develop here. And talk about Asian teams in the distance. You have Zagu up close, you have Bobby getting closer and closer. So it's almost like Reet and Ritual are just getting surrounded by this entire region here.
And it's not just Asia either.
I think he's
It looked like Bugha and Aviv were also kind of moseying their way over towards this action taking place by the weapon bunker, but Reet shredding through Mipoli's shield. Not enough to crack him just yet, but still forcing him back. It's clear that Reet and Ritual just want box control, take over the space overlying that bunker so they can make sure that they defend it with their own builds.
Well, Kyoto and Mapoli trying to situate themselves for the first stab at the bunker. Bobby and Larpex trying to do the same there as they lurk nearby. On the other side, though, high ground here for center zone, looking for any teams off in the distance. Chicho and Trulix, the surprise pop-up in that end game last round, really showing up for themselves there. Team Falcon and Valiant,
if he hits
proud of that one.
If he hits someone from right there, man.
Ooh.
Okay, Chicho, we understand. The modern clearly one of your preferences for a reason, but still, I don't expect Chicho and Trulix to leave this position anytime soon. This is their bread and butter. Surge base up, take control of teams that are going to be forcibly rotating from those outskirt positions on their drops, and just control the way that they're actually moving on the map.
Oh, look at this. Unfortunately, second place Rise coming out down and out. Once again, opening things up for a second there, but so far, that Asian team has put up quite the performance, right? Representing for their region. That's really the best part about this. We play all year to get the best players from every region globally together in one space to compete against each other. What a flagship event here, but on the other side, Vico and Flixie continuing the story here. They have the bunker now.
Probably rather content as well, knowing that they could take their time, but there is another team starting to approach their position, but it might just be a duo that's gliding overhead. Doesn't seem like they're gonna bother stopping or recognizing the fact even that there's a duo still lingering inside of this weapons bunker. Chapentini, on the other hand, dealing with the likes of Baka and Pars, outskirts of restored reels, and this could be a rather dangerous position because keep in mind, Trulix, Chicho, they've got a surge base nearby as well. They could look for prime third-party opportunities, get some good tags in here.
Chapentini now on the run here from Baka and Pars. Smart disengage given that low ground terrain is going to be a lot more difficult to play from. Baka and Pars, honestly not in such a strong position themselves. 28 builds is nothing for a player like Baka, especially in this type of lobby. He really has to start to, piecemeal something together, or their end game is it's going to crumble. It's going to crumble fast.
Part of the problem for Baka and Pars, though, is that landing by the ship at station, their intent is to try and make a play for one of the forecast towers. We've seen them throughout the majors in the regular seasons, right? And they've tried to consistently make plays for forecast, but they've got to deal with the likes of Peterbot, Pollo, who are also making rotates, and it can be difficult for Baka and Pars as well to just maintain their map position because they have so many teams kind of surrounding them, looking to cut them off at every position.
Although it's only game 3, I do want to hit the VODs and see what's going on with Batman, Bugha, and Rapid there. As they haven't quite really popped off up to the expectations. But hold up, Rift Island now officially secured by Baka and Pars. This is honestly a very, very good pickup here if they, of course, can get the loot. But an elimination would be even better. Tini gets hurt in the process here. Chap secures the high position here in defense for his teammate. Singles out Baka. Baka down to just wood builds. They need to get some of the outskirts here. And already Chapentini secure the center of course, what will be the cache, right? All the loot that's going to go ahead and spawn out of that.
The capture point could be a really big advantage here for Chapentini as well. Baka Pars recognize more than anything else, they need to try and rebuild their material count. Granted, Rift Island can definitely provide at the very but that's only if they're not disturbed in the process, and seems as if there are more duos trying to make their way towards top of the Rift Island. Venom Flix also still hanging out inside of the storm. Comes as no surprise though, really, when you consider the fact they like to stick in the storm a little bit longer than some of these other teams. They're usually pretty consistent about getting those surge tag damages, but they can also be very dependent on the vending machine to accrue the heals to make sure that they can afford this time inside Storm.
Vending machine makes a massive difference. Bunkers make a massive difference as well as far as having the heals. To string together a strategy like this, Cammy and Seti clearly have a stronghold on their area. They're playing deep into the Storm, and this is, again, a team that is no stranger to staying in the Storm on these invitationals, on these LAN events, right? Like, we've seen it happen every single time. They almost welcome the Storm, right, to stay away from the other opponents there.
Cammy and Seti, they were probably cheesing the moment that they found out the hover jets wouldn't be an option for players, because everyone knows, historically speaking, they perform incredibly well, if not possibly even best, during these no mobility or low mobility metas. So it comes as no surprise, really, they were able to find their surge damage, a little bit to work with at least, dead-side rotations, but Malabuka Merstash, jam-packed action potentially here at Restored Reels. Finding some decent shots, but more important aspect still is that Casper and Prism are under some heavy pressure. Those Storm Surge tags trickling in now might cost them all their splashes.
82 below. Pressure starting to rise here. Giannis gets pushed in, drops down to low ground. Just letting the Storm Surge kind of do its thing here for now. But Casper doesn't stop. He eggs on solo here into the wall of Pixie and Giannis. We've seen what happened to duos before. It normally doesn't end well. Malabuka and Merstash also lurking nearby, hearing what's happening here.
And again, you can technically out-sustain the damage that's dealt, but 25 a tick, not to mention the other teams taking notes, shooting at you as well. Shield crack has gone out. That might be the go sign here for Giannis and Pixie. They recognize the fact, though, this duo looking a little bit too desperate for him. Merstash Malabuka instead gonna strike from behind. Casper, Prism, they were so fixated on Giannis and Pixie, they had no idea the real threat that awaited directly behind them.
Yeah, now Merstash and Malabuka have nothing to worry about. They have so much damage. The refresh is there. They're going to be fully focused in on likely getting to the new line of the Storm here shortly. And they saw, like, you know, this team was fighting another team, so clearly they're very much aware. But wait a second, Pixie knocks on the wrong door. This is a full duo. Little did he know, he was likely thinking this was what was left of the other team that was just there, and Giannis falls for being out of position now. Merstash and Malabuka really racking up the eliminations this game.
Devious work there by Merstash and Malabuka, though. The way that they were able to separate Giannis and Pixie in that moment. Keep in mind, Pixie definitely still trying to do what he can, but yeah, that is just some very tactical play coming out of Malabuka and Merstash. Their chemistry definitely aligned. Pixie still trying to do what he can, but Malabuka and Merstash, they know it's a solo hidden somewhere amongst the rubble of these pre-existing builds. Pixie trying to hope that he can maintain a little bit better position, but he's just getting shredded. The builds are not going to withstand all the shots coming in. Malabuka Merstash with yet another elimination. 807 damage above as well. They can take their sweet time now on the rotates.
And you see it from Merstash's perspective onto Casper. Say huge shot there in the replay. Very well executed. Well, that's going to set themselves up for success. They have nothing to worry about other than get to Storm now. For Vino and Clix, a little bit of a different story here. Still a successful game nonetheless. 2 elims, plenty of material to work with, especially in Clix's reservoir here. However, the damage will start to become a problem soon. But talk about problems here. Kanata's got a big one. He's got XZ Trashy on the other side of the wall. And no teammate, Cooper, who is the returning champion from last year, paired up with Kanata right now, is now found himself watching Kanata having to root from the sidelines.
Yeah, I mean, the Ship It station has just been fully skeletonized at this point. All the walls practically torn down. Other player builds replacing them, but Kanata has done a decent job, at least at forcing Trashy back. And in fact, Trashy so low, Kanata not going to be able to get the outright elimination just yet, but he's hunting it down. Trashy just hoping that he can buy himself a little bit more time, and Kanata's got to be careful because Queasy and Thomas, they're also nearby.
We already know Queasy and Thomas have the confidence coming off that last game. Big rotate coming out on the other side, though. It's Agers and Rise who are on the move right now. Rise going to be the first to fall in this exchange here to the hands of Bolts, it seems. Bolts and Bryce to get the elimination credit here. And Bolts and Bryce are holding on just barely. And Bryce willing to stay in the storm. He needs these materials, trying to pick up what he can here to go in and get himself a foundation to work with. And this is a congested side of the storm. Look at how many teams, how many players are sitting around this general area.
This is a lot of our northeast-based teams as well. And Bryce, at least with that refresh on the material count, he's going to be able to at least dictate which direction he wants to head next. Might be able to protect himself on the disengage as well. Agers, though, might not find himself in a similar fashion. Still, the armored wall will at least prompt a forcible disengage for the time being. Everyone recognizing the fact they've got to scale over this hillside as they approach the raft.
Well, time to make a decision. Agers goes for the fight. And now he's in the storm, but a tag is going to set him off here. The clock is ticking here. Just a couple moments left, and he jumps onto Muzz and Epic Whale. Tries to go for the axe through the wall, but instead delivers the loot to the hands of Muzz and Epic Whale, who really needed that, but the storm ends up doing the rest there on this back edge. And it's just one problem after another now since match one for Epic Whale and Muzz here. It's going to be difficult to ask Epic to do much more at this point, given the situation.
Epic just hoping that he can survive, but that dream is shut down instantaneously. Just down from a distance, and not much left to do except sit and wait for match number 4 to begin. Trulex, on the other hand, though, no Chicho again. Some of our teams that are just trying to lead, unfortunately finding themselves in these compromised positions. If Trulex goes down now, MDF, that's going to be a heavy hit to placement points.
Yeah, definitely will set them back, given that they set themselves up with such a strong position now after that first game. Obviously coming in with a little bit of a lead, but how long can that lead last when you have people like Peterbot and Pollo putting sights on you? And looking at that update there, Cold and Acorn are down. Yuma and Rise are also down. This match 3, almost a defining moment for some teams here that had a real chance to break away, but as all things balance here, it's almost like we're brought down to reality. So Trulex, really the only player now in the lobby that has a 30-point gap, but for how much longer?
He's just trying to stay as concealed as possible and hopefully connect.
An elimination, really?
Yet again, Dukes now forced to play this one out as a solo. His box gonna get collapsed upon. Pico, though, loses Quixie. Another one of our teams in the top 5 wiped out.
That is actually going to be very, very important for everyone who's on the bubble now, looking to jump up into that top 5 spot. And even better for the likes of Peterbot and Pollo, who are very much there. Thomas, HD, and Queasy, who have been running their way up the standings here. Look at this late rotate, allowing them to have this much visual. Not even needing to build walls on the side is a sign of confidence on its own.
Look at this Thomas now. He was just taking shots at the lobby leader. He's still got his sights set onto Trulex. Might have even identified him as a solo, but they're going to find themselves chopped. Malabuka, Merstash now trying to make their approach towards Queasy and Thomas. Meanwhile, Peterbot, Pollo, they're currently sitting inside of top 3, 3rd place to be specific, and they're going to instantaneously take over the hill. Prime position, also catching shots, tags, connecting onto Queasy. But the hill height is the real W here.
Well, I hate to call it early, but it is not looking good for the lobby if you're rooting against Peterbot and Pollo right now, as they've got themselves the natural elevation, the material count, and the base already set up. Meanwhile, Queasy finds himself in a bad rotate there, taken down. No elims earned this game. No chance that Thomas can survive there if he doesn't fight his way up. He doesn't even have mats here, the shield bubble, the saving grace, but also the flare to the lobby. Hey, I'm over here.
There's only so much that Thomas can do from this current position. And first, he's got to break through Yapko and Swizzy, throws out the shield bubble. It's his last hope at this point, hoping that there isn't a duo underneath him, but unfortunately, he won't even get a chance to reconsider where he wants to go next. Peterbot and Pollo more than content to take the shutdown.
And they're the team up top, looking down on the rest of the lobby here. Other NA players still here, Reet and Ritual. But you have EU's Huddy on the front side with Kovacs there. Peterbot looking down, putting tact onto the roofs of these builds. Huddy and Kovacs have 7 eliminations, but very little material now. It's gonna get super scrappy down here. They're in that conversation of top 5 here, though, as they've managed to nearly fight their way into a top position now. But things are slowing down. Everyone really thinking about what the next move's gonna be, what's best for their situation here in the tournament. Murstache, Malabuka look up, they say no. Peterbot and Pollo are still there.
Huddy and Kovacs, they're actually gonna opt to play from inside Storm. Now they're gonna make their move, but they're so late on this rotate. Peterbot and Pollo are bound to catch wind of this. Immediately the shots rain in. Kovacs trying to scurry around, but he won't escape. There's too much pressure. Peterbot too accurate as well. Another duo life getting flamed here in the mix. Murstache, Malabuka now caught wind of Reet. Unfortunately, front side of zone is not going to be controlled by Reet and Ritual much longer. Malabuka, Murstache here to play.
Yeah, and they did all that for a top 5, right? Look at how slow things have gone here because everyone wants placement points. But the problem is now you're giving Peterbot and Pollo so much more time to decide about how they basically want to win this game here.
Ritual still trying to work his way through. He's crouching, he's breaking the builds, but Peterbot and Pollo MDF, I hate to call it early, but they are looking primed to take over here in match 3. Unless Murstache and Malabuka have something to say about it. Currently contesting Yapko and Swizzy. This could be a massive refresh for builds.
Swizzy and Yapko, 8 elims. What a monstrous game for them here. Top 3, breaking his way through the builds here. He still has a lot of gas in the tank here to work with, but Malabuka and Murstache put up such a strong defense there. A great tag onto Murstache to go in and set things up, but he steps in now. It's time to throw it all down. It's all or nothing. Right hand peek here for Murstache is going to work well. Peterbot and Pollo jump down from the high ground to go ahead and get in the mix. One of those goes to them. Murstache is down. Malabuka's down. 2v2. All they got to do now is find the last shot, and Pollo, hungrier than ever, is going to get one. They just need the second now.
Peterbot, Pollo, they're tracking him down. Swizzy staring just a layer above. Pollo's gonna fall though. This could be massive. Swizzy could actually take it, but Peterbot trying to shut that dream down. Peterbot, oh my God, is all he needs. Swizzy takes it home.
Peterbot and Pollo get taken down to the hands of Swizzy. Phenomenal job here in the end. Just when you thought it was over, just when you thought he didn't have a chance, they clutched it up. They pulled through.
I have to put a little bit more respect onto Swizzy's name here. Keep in mind, he's a powerhouse player coming out of EU, but Adam, close on sight.
Thank you so much. Give it up for your Game 3 winners! Swizzy, wow. That was that one-on-one. Peterbot there, right at the very end. You managed to style that out perfectly, but walk us through the final stages, how that all went down.
I don't know, like, it was actually not that hard.
Not as hard, not as hard. Peterbot and Pollo have been very strong throughout the competition so far, but Yapka, you guys are looking very good too. Walk us through the first 3.
Everyone's got egos, bro. Can you guys be... Everyone's yelling, bro.
Peterbot, Pollo, they're tracking him down. Swizzy staring just a layer above. Pollo,
oh my!
No, this could be massive. Swizzy could actually take it, but Peterbot trying to shut that dream down. Peterbot, oh my God!
He's getting nervous. Yo! You can tell Peterbot's mad at his teammate.
And I'm going to ask you as well. Watching that at the end there, you watched Swizzy in that one-on-one. Are you feeding anything through on the comms then, or are you just keeping quiet and just letting him do his thing?
I mean, I'm just going behind him, you know? I'm just telling him everything. Because I was still alive, so I could see everything on my screen.
Love to see that. One more time, give it up for Swizzy and Yapko, everyone! Thank you very much, guys. Now, obviously, you know that I've got a voice of an angel, okay? No one booked me for the halftime show. I can't believe it. I'm devastated. I don't hold grudges, but I actually blame Zeke. I could have done a repertoire of my Fortnite Festival classics, and I couldn't do it. Zeke, I blame you. It's over to you, buddy.
That's okay, Adam. You can blame me. Most people do. My gosh, Swizzy here.
Hello?
You could tell in the moment that like Swizzy's in like almost like a state of shock. Like he was literally shaking.
Now it's behind the last.
Yeah.
And Pollo hungry, and the Macker's gonna get one. They just need the second now.
Peterbot Pollo, they're tracking him down. Swizzy staring just a layer above. Pollo's gonna fall though. This could be massive. Swizzy could actually take it, but Peterbot trying to shut that tree down. Peterbot, oh my God, is all he needs.
Dang.
In the Swizzy era, man, I can't believe it's taken us so long to see this player on the big stage. And if this is what we've been missing out on, oh my goodness, I can't wait to see what we have in store. This guy has been performing at the highest level of Fortnite for about a year now, right? We saw towards the end of last year in Chapter 4 just how impressive he was when he won FNCS with Praty. We wanted to see him at Globals. Unfortunately, we couldn't. Even this year, they qualified. They've been dominating EU. We couldn't see him with Vanya, and we thought, oh my goodness, I mean, cool, we get to see him, but it's not going to be the full power duo we thought we would. But Swizzy and Yapko been looking good, man, and Swizzy in particular, shining as always.
I just cannot believe that 10 eliminations onto that duo. And again, on the flip side, right, we still have to give props to Peterbot and Pollo.
Yeah, right.
They just absolutely dominated that game for so long. And those final few moments, right, when there's 3 duos remaining, you just wait. You're like, okay, when they start to fight at the bottom, we look to strike. Unfortunately, though, Swizzy was on the other side.
Yeah, this was actually one of those games that Peterbot and Pollo pretty much secured second place, or it, could have been that victory royale way earlier than that. It was actually the 6th to 7th zone pool where everybody was actually northeast of Grimgate, but then the zone pulled southwest. It pulled all over that green river that gave everybody the dashes. But the difference there was that Peterbot and Pollo, they actually saved those dashes for 9th zone. Once they were able to rotate in the 9th zone, they used those dashes. They got ahead of Queasy and Thomas. They built up on the hill, and they had high ground for the rest of the game.
Yeah, and like you said, from there you just expect it to be easy street. And for the most part, it was. Unfortunately, those final moments, we know just how tough they can be. But it's such a great sign for Peterbot and Pollo. Right? We just talked the game before this about how, look, those games we saw earlier are probably some of the worst games we'll see them have. And yet they were still racking in big points. It only gets better from here.
We got to take this to a listen in from those few moments because that was just a crazy run from Peterbot and Pollo. Let's take a look.
All right. We can get all left and get height. We can get all left and get height. Come. Come. 35. They're looking. 30. Look here. No bills. Yeah. Got it. We're good. 13 alive, by the way. Everyone's stacked. I think everyone's stacked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Just look at the team's friend.
I'm looking. Duo. They drop.
It's this team right here. This 60, no bills.
360 wood. Give me coin.
Yeah.
Give me coin. Right here.
He's reloading. Nice.
Always great to actually listen into the comms. 11. We were actually having a conversation about Peterbot's comms. You were listening to them over at EWC. Compared.
We saw earlier probably some of the worst games we'll see them have, and yet they were still racking in big points.
When he clicks to start, what were their comms?
They're looking.
30. Look here. No bills.
Yeah. Got it. We're good.
Well, that's Peterbot that got him.
Everyone's stacked. I think everyone's stacked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Just look at the team's friend.
I'm looking. Duo. They drop.
It's this team right here. This 60, no bills.
360 wood.
Yeah, I think they mute it when they swear.
Give me coin.
Yeah.
Give me coin. Right here.
He's reloading. Nice.
Always great to actually listen into the comms. 11. We were actually having a conversation.
You'd argue means, again, he doesn't have as much ammo, he can't spray as much towards that back end. When he runs out of shotgun ammo, he can't switch to his AUG, right, and use that. Small, fine margins, but it's,
I said it's fine. They're still in the lead.
their PY, they did not leave reels at all, right? It was remained in the zone, and I think they picked up like 3 more eliminations from the POI alone, just picking up stragglers, picking up rotators. So awesome to see that they're very, very familiar around that POI, so much so that they can find elims even later on in the game.
I mean, when you look at Comp Fortnite this year, Vivid, it's been a matter of surge basing here and there.
Yeah.
That is not Malabuka and Mestache's game, right? They want to go into places where people are going to rotate into them, and they want to fight people, and they did that so expertly here. And it felt like a vintage game for them, even towards the end game, right? Just causing havoc on lower layers is what they were always known for doing. And so it's great to see them in their element here on LAN.
I wanted to call out their 6th place Chap and Teeny. We see them just go up a few points there. They managed to fight that Rift Island, fight for that Rift Island and claim it. But we did not see them in that end game, right? Think back, they won game number 1, and then it's kind of, they're not necessarily stalling out, but there's something that is kind of keeping them from hitting these final few end games. What's going on? What do you think?
Well, maybe it's the giant surprise of them not landing where we were kind of expecting them to land. They're actually landing over at the Nitro Dome, right? Which, you know, very, very like them to kind of just randomly land somewhere. And maybe we're kind of seeing the effects of that, right? Maybe now that players around them have kind of adapted to how those rotations are kind of being made by them. They're like, oh, so this team's going to be doing this now. We're obviously not going to allow them to do that or something like that. But I'm sure there's adaptations being made by some of these players.
Absolutely. I wrote down a whole long list of like effects of them switching up their drop and the team's effects. Before we get to that though, right? Them landing on Nitro Dome, some added context. It was the spot they landed at, right? Last season, right? When they were playing. And when you actually look at where they were deciding to land, they never really committed to a spot, right? At one point, they wanted to go reckless and they were going to go towards the underworld. And it's funny, I spoke to Kanada and Cooper a couple days ago, and they were like, for sure, those guys are going to go Nitro Dome. They knew, they were like, 100% those guys aren't committing to whatever they're saying they're going to commit to. They're going to land on us. And I guess they were very prepared for it. But even then, man, Trapantini is the kind of thing you expected them to do, right? Have some sort of switch up in game plan.
I love that the casters going into that game called out micro adjustments, right? Game to game, we're just thinking these little nuanced things. How do we get the upper hand on all of these duos? And of course, now being the halfway point is more important than ever to do so.
Yeah, I'm happy that you actually brought up that halfway point, right? And quote unquote adaptations, because now that we are actually in
duo, so much confidence. You can see, looking to get another one. 290 headshot. Are you kidding me, Julie? And another one. Double headshot, snipe 7.
Opportunity to also talk to their coaches who are hopefully things that they are not.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking to some of the coaches that are here. We were talking to Ben and Razari, right? Those guys coach a bunch of the players here, a bunch of the top teams here. And there are some top teams, I think, who've maybe had a quiet first 3 games. So there's going to be plenty to talk about behind the scenes.
That's right. Well, the players are currently on a halfway point break. So what we're going to do is we're going to step away. When we return, though, game number 4 from the FNCS Global Championship.
That was just crazy, bro.
Oh, bro, I'd literally start talking.
Wait, what map is that? Oh. We join that? That map.
No, imagine we was walking out, bro. I'd literally start twerking. Imagine Mongrel and Mr. Savage come out as the last duo, and Travis Scott is live performing us out. Okay, I might be too far, but. Oh, this is so hype, bro. Fuck. I want to be here, man. Oh, shit. Clicks and Veno! Yes, this is gonna be so fun to watch. No, imagine we was walking.
I'm putting it in. Already have it. Yeah. Do you want to do private? Let's do private. Yo. I was just seeing if you're there. I was just seeing if you're there. Why does it say ranked battle royale trios? What the heck? What the heck? Wait, this is cool. Yo! Yo, I'm him! I'm him! Oh. Game about to start. The game's starting.
Well, hello, Fortnite fans. Kelly Link here in the Creator Lounge, where I am just surrounded by so many.
Wait, how do we 1v1?
And two of my favorite people are going to be joining me right now. Panda, Jacob PR. I feel like we're bringing it back all the way to NA West on the FNCS. It is so good to be talking with you guys.
What do we 1v1?
Hey, listen, it's the Global Championship, so you better believe we're loving it. What's going on, Texas?
It is so exciting, so electric, and I know that so many people here are excited
Oh, I have it
for Game
on.
4, but we do have a little bit of a break, Jacob. But when that break comes back, I'm ready for Game 4. What about you?
Oh, I'm definitely
How do
ready for it. Even though
how do we
there's
do
a little
it?
bit of a slow start and some hiccups, including that last way the game ended, Peterbot and Pollo, oh my god, this is a legacy in the making, and there's 9 more games throughout the weekend, and I couldn't be more stoked.
But man, I thought that was going to be Peterbot and Pollo's game. Everything worked out so well from them on high ground, where we've seen them time and time again. But who was waiting for them on the low ground? Swizzy. Is that something you could have expected, that 1v1 going out that way?
Honestly, yeah, I can't lie. I predicted that was going to happen. No, I'm just kidding, guys. But no, honestly, really it is the nerves, right? That's the biggest moment that Peterbot's had of the day. He came down, he tried to take the fight, and unfortunately it just didn't go his way. But that's how it happens sometimes.
But even without the victory royale, Peterbot and Pollo are currently sitting in first place, and I think that's something a lot of us kind of expected today. Do you think they're going to keep this going?
I 100% think they do. Consistency is key, and in a lot of their big wins throughout the course to get here, it's been their consistency, and Pollo, I think, has been a huge backbone for this roster that doesn't get enough credit, so just a big shout out to Pollo.
Well, speaking giving credit, Swizzy, absolutely incredible. Not even playing with his main duo of Yapko and still taking the victory royale. What an incredible performance.
Yeah, honestly, listen, you can't count out Swizzy. He is a phenomenal player playing with Yapko. Obviously, shout out Vaniac for not being here. But honestly, this duo is special. They still have a very, very good shot at taking that top spot. So just because Peterbot and Pollo are there now does not mean they've secured it. I'm telling you, there is still a lot of games to play.
Guys, I am so grateful for you to chat for me real quick. And before I let you go and go back to the desk, where can people find you? What do you have planned for the rest of the weekend?
Oh, listen, we got a ton of great stuff going on this weekend. Make sure to check out Life with Panda, Life W Panda on all socials. Jacob and I are hosting a post-Global Championship live stream, so make sure you tune in. I can't wait. And of course, the lovely Kelly Link. I'll let you send it off.
Oh my goodness, thank you. But real quick, Jacob, where can people find you? I know as far as watch party goes, you are constantly streaming FNCS watch parties. Where can people find you?
On Twitter and Twitch, you can go to Jacob MVPR, because I'm the most valuable Puerto Rican in this place.
Thank you guys so much, and let's head back to the desk.
No, Jacob, what?
Yeah, that's Jacob.
Dude, I love Jacob PR, bro. I'm honestly thankful he's not here, because if he was, he'd be so tall. Anyway, thank you so much to Life with Panda, Jacob PR. We love you guys. And I like that Panda kind of called out one thing specifically. There's a lot of games left to go.
Today,
Keep in mind, we still have 3 today, 6 tomorrow, but under that 1.5
6 matches today,
multiplier.
6
We're
matches
already seeing games go crazy. Things kind of unfold. Maybe not in ways we expected. What have you guys been seeing and that maybe excites you about the last 3 games?
Why don't we go ahead and start with the early game here, Levin, right? There's big questions around, well, pretty much almost every single spot on the map. But I think a brutal beachhead was a
it
big
like
question mark. How was Acorn and Colden and Alex and Sato going to go? And right now, you know, game number one, a little bit passive. Games 2 and 3, though, Acorn and Cold have come out with 2 eliminations each one of those games.
Yeah, that's huge, man. I mean, Acorn and Cold, if they weren't uncontested, would have been a favorite to win, right? So seeing how they did there was really crucial.
That's right. I actually just got word. We have an interview lined
Oh,
up.
snap.
Savage is standing by with our duo in the first
Look.
place. Adam, what you got for us?
Well, I've currently got with me the leaders of our competition right now. Peterbot and Pollo join me here in the player lounge. Fellas, it has been an unbelievable start of proceedings. Peterbot, 23 eliminations. Looking 23, I think so. Both you guys so far, yeah. Leading it. He was like, just me. 23, so.
Where'd you go?
He expects 23 straight off the bat.
I gotta have 17.
Huh?
My AR aim right now is looking crazy.
Where'd you go?
Okay. Well, I mean, whatever happens, it's looking strong, and you're very much in the lead here. Pollo, walk us through the first kind of like couple of exchanges on the forecast towers first and foremost. You guys got it one time so far. Does that kind of does it concern you at all? Is that a real issue, or are you guys just kind of like heading through whatever happens regardless?
I think the first game, like, we were getting held by a team, Baka Pars, they were sitting in like a bush. But after that, like after we were able to get to the forecast, we were fine. No one contested or anything. The next 2 games, we weren't able to get it because they didn't spawn.
Well, we saw as well, like the zone shifting left, right, and center. For you guys, how has it felt in those first 3 games, adapting as well? I mean, we saw that, you know, you're going to be a lot of players going to challenge you guys. You saw an elimination feed clicks in that first game as well. That must have felt real good too.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it felt good. It was just like I was like, so he got eliminated, and basically, I just got like 5 eliminations in one zone, and then like the win, like that I expected to win, and yeah, I mean.
And so, do you kind of feel those? You're just going to move on to the next thing.
Let's do Peterbot 1v1. Oh, let's do this.
Onto their belts. We're 3 games in so far. It's looking very, very good for Peterbot and Pollo. For now, it's back to the desk. These guys getting back to their seats. Game 4 is imminent.
You know, I think one of my favorite things about Peterbot.
NCS titles in the bag already.
No, imagine we was walking out, bro. I'd literally start twerking. Imagine Mongrel and Mr. Savage come out as the last duo, and Travis Scott is live.
You just talk for the team. I'm just gonna sit way over here. Just way over here. Yeah, things are great, and they're amazing. I'm good. Okay, bye. That's one of my favorite things about them. Is that crazy? Am I crazy?
No, I mean, but I think it really, really works for them, right? And that's what you kind of need when it comes down to duo dynamic, right? Somebody's a little bit more vocal. Maybe that's how it kind of goes in game as well.
I mean, yeah, I think when you look at the dynamic of that team, anybody that plays with Peterbot is going to have to put their ego to the side. I mean, that guy's got enough ego for all 3 of us on the desk here. And I think it's good that it doesn't, right? And he talks about how it doesn't matter what's at the top of the leaderboard. I think it's that sort of mentality to just keep going, even when things don't quite go right, is the key to why they're so successful.
Yeah, I mean, saying, look, 12 elimination, Victor Royale, or second place. It isn't the Victor Royale. Tomorrow, 1.5 times, you definitely want that Victor Royale. Those points are going to matter. But, bro, 12 eliminations in a second place, that's still a ton of points. And as he called out, he eliminates the second through 15. At that point, you're like, cool, I'm just creating a gap for me and Pollo.
Yeah, instantly looking towards the positives of the situation, not necessarily the negatives. So really, really good. Now, we were kind of talking about prior to this, now they have the opportunity to go ahead and converse amongst themselves with coaches and everything like that. What can we kind of expect going into game number 4 to maybe change, if anything at all?
I mean, one thing I think I noticed throughout the first couple games already was there was a bunch of teams actually switching up their spots. I feel like we were seeing a bunch of different people in areas of the map in early game where they just shouldn't have been. Like King and Faith were all the way in like the southeast of the map. I think Michael and Job were somewhere there as well. At one point, we're like, I thought you guys were landing all the way on the other side. So clearly, there's been big mistakes already, and I think we'll probably see a couple more.
Absolutely. You guys have kind of started talking about Acorn and Cold. I kind of wanted to circle back to that conversation. How are they performing? Are they performing the way, I guess, you kind of, in your mind, envision they would?
Yeah, no, I think they're going to find themselves within the top 10. I actually predicted that they were going to be the first place at the end of day number 1. Right now, 3 games, no people about that. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I think they're performing very, very well, handling the all-spawn situation perfectly.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, I think most people who know me are a big Cold fan, and I'm a big Cold fan as well, and I really do back these guys to do well in every given situation. I think we know with 1.5x points, we saw them in Major 3 and NA not having the best day 1, but with the 1.5x, the comeback that they had to place as well as they did, they're always going to be in the competition. No matter how far down the table these guys are, until we get to maybe game 11 tomorrow, right, they're going to be in this competition, and when you have that ability, that's a real big strength.
That's right. We've seen their off-spawn situation. We actually have a listed the last one. We'll see how this goes.
My God.
I'm like looking around, okay? 100? Take your time, take a minute. Right here. 34. You're him! Baby. Oh my god, let's go.
That's so much super, we're chilling. We're literally vibing.
You are the best, bro.
We love getting those listeners, right? Really getting to hone in on how are these duos communicating, what are they kind of pulling out, and how are they little sneaky tactics, right? Really utilizing those third angles to kind of just sit underneath that little stair and go, yeah, I'm lurking, come around the corner. You're like, oh, it's just one person, just kidding. Acorn's over here, I just get shot down, you're on your own.
Playing. Yeah, sounds like there was actually an adaptation there, right? Should we swerve? And actually, they went ahead and did it. So there was actually a different idea going into that game. But still, even though they had to go ahead and adapt, they still execute on whatever they have planned for when something goes wrong on the drop. And I mean, you saw the situation in terms of Luke Cole had almost nothing, no shield, and Inlet's Hitter were all geared up, ready to go. Still won.
Right, that was one of the things I actually spoke to Sven about, right? Their coach, he talked about the prep they've been putting into off-spawn situations. I think they got a really bad reputation for off-spawns after what we saw in Season 2 of this year, where they got boxed at
So I would have killed you.
I think they've come into the Global Championships much more prepared, better ideas, different options, right? And they feel comfortable regardless of which option they have to take.
That's right. Our players are making their way back onto the stage right now. We are preparing before the competition. As we continue to talk about this micro adjustments, Levin, you called out something before we went to break here recently. The fact that Chapentini, they kind of the single decision they made sent ripples throughout the game. I'm really interested to kind of tap into that, kind of discuss how one decision can kind of change.
Now what, bro? So I can't reset the wall.
Yeah. Rise and Ages, right? They get taken out, wiped out by Chapentini and Fawn. They're a team where you look at them.
I can't even edit, bro.
Ruins their momentum in the start of the competition. You look at Chapentini, they're a team that wants to have good loot. They're a hungry team. What they're going to do, they're going to play for that windmill south of Nitro Drone. You know, so Robbie likes to play for that. Christian Benner, right? So they went there in what I think it was game 2. And Chapentini is sitting on it, right? Again, now that affects their game plan. They go into the game with a bit less loot than they probably would have had.
Bro.
So all the teams around them that don't
How do
even
you
land that
win?
Nitrodrome are affected by the fact that Chapentini have chosen to land there.
Yeah, and sometimes those are kind of like the
Wait, I
effects,
won
right?
that.
The
I don't know
the
how
bunker, those type of positions, but these zones so far have actually been pulling up slightly to the north, and whenever that happens, teams like Clifton Venom, they actually spend so much time out in the storm, and that strategy is actually used by a bunch of teams here. But when you add in that extra team, right, as kind of adding like or acting as like a blockade for some of those rotations, it can really throw all of those team strategies off, because when you are actually sitting in the storm taking all of that damage, sometimes those rotations are actually down to perfection, and those little adjustments like new teams landing in the area can make all the difference.
And I think too, when we kind of remind ourselves of previous majors, I feel like in those situations, a lot of the duos are kind of like a big ego, right? It's like, I'm losing the situation, I've got to commit, and then we're eliminated, now we're waiting a game. I think all the way back to even Vika, right? The fact that his duo goes down, he's got card in hand, and his options are, I go for forecast, I just run away with the card, or I drop it. I've got to commit, and then we're eliminated, and now we're waiting a game. I think all the way back to even Vico, right? The fact that his duo goes down, he's got card in hand, and his options are, I go for forecast, I just run away with the card, or I drop it. And that's not even something I would have even thought of, but he does it. And so those little decisions, once again, really rippling through the game, so interesting to me.
Yeah, that's one of those fights that keeps happening consistently, right? Vico, Flixie versus Bryce and Bolt, so much so that now it's a consistent thing that's happening. Other teams are like, whoa, this is happening over here. Let's get involved.
I mean, the big difference there, right? You know, for Vico and Flixie here versus on EU. On EU, they would have just rolled the teams who were landing, right? That's what happened when you make a point where, at, you know, Major 3, teams weren't even landing on the forecast. They were just getting it for free. Here, Bryce and Bolts aren't going to be pushed over. They've dealt with Reet and Ritual. They've dealt with top teams there before. They are going to fight, and they will be successful at times. So how do Vico and Flixie adjust to that in their game plan?
Is it just like such an easy decision, right? Like, because you're saying on EU, we look at Vico Flixie, we go, just that's fine. Forecast is yours, but everyone here on this land, they're just like, nah, we're gonna let you have it.
It's just a combination of two regions, right? Like you mentioned, I really like that point actually, as both of these teams have experience fighting teams over at the forecast tower, right? And typically, if you're on your own region, you're just kind of fighting one team, you're winning. But now it's two players or two teams that are kind of used to winning, used to fighting, meeting on the international stage.
Ooh, the breakdown, crazy, but it is that time. Once again, we are ready for more action. Game number 4 is upon us. Casters, take it away.
We're a quarter of the way into this 2-day competition. Let's not forget, this is just the start now.
Yeah, and I mean, with the way that things have been going, it is just absurd to think, MDF, that Vivid Shirt is still holding strong, at least for the time being, because Peterbot and Pollo have technically put NA on top.
And they're doing it. They're putting up the performance. It's a pretty EU-heavy top 10. We always expect that, though, right? More teams, more chances. But let's see it for match number 4. Game number 4. The pivotal moment, the critical moment in your tournament day for the first day of the FNCS Globals. And you might be asking, why is that? That's because after the last 3 games, after you get this halfway break, you get to reevaluate your situation, possibly talk with your coach, possibly look at something in the background, right? Try to figure out, what have I been doing wrong? How can I adjust?
Possibly reconsidering whether or not you want to go for the 50-50 contest. And as far as Huddy is concerned, he's already out of the conversation. Sky and Scroll, though, a little bit beat up, but they might be able to still close this one out. Kovacs, though, understanding the dire situation, the consequences if he's not able to pull through. He's trying to do what he can to scramble, make sure that he keeps his duo with a realistic opportunity for the revive. And he's done just enough to push back Sky and Scroll, even for a moment.
Now Kovacs and Huddy are in 4th place, but it's not looking good as they get taken out. The first team to fall now to Scroll in Sky. And it has to be a crushing loss there as Huddy and Scroll went head-to-head, and Huddy just didn't have a weapon.
Just didn't find enough damage when he needed it most, but again, that's part of the nature of those direct 50-50 splits. You can test at Rebels' ruse inside that building. You know where the 14 spawns are going to be at, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to pick up something worth going for in the first place. Malabuka, Merstash, on the other hand, restored reels. Saw that little flash by Merstash of the drop map. Love the printout, but Merstash, he's got his eyes set onto Alex's head right now, and that's going to be his first elimination here. Oceania, things are looking a little bit grim there at Restored Reels.
Up against EU, not so much up against NA, as honestly, Resigns and Damo have managed to really hold their own up against Clix and Vino, but you know, Clix and Vino have played very passively, if you will. I think they are recognizing this opportunity before them, and they don't want to just throw it all to the wind because they're being contested. They're willing to play a little bit smarter, and we actually love that because we've seen very different.
Ren_King Peaceado said, "Hi Ethan." Ren_King Peaceado
the results of this
said,
spot have actually worked
"And
out
Adrian."
relatively favorable, even for Damo and Resigns there.
Yeah, but at the same time, how much better still would it be?
Ren_King Peaceado said, "And
On the
Aiden."
other hand, we saw the differences during the halftime preview of Andalake Sato's success in comparison to Acorn and Cold. And Cold alongside Acorn, they are looking to keep the streak going strong here at Brutal Beachhead. Andalix and Zato, they need to come up massive if they don't want to end off with a huge point differential for day 2. Even with that 1.5 times point multiplier, it's still a big ways to climb.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the stats. It's a pretty significant gap between Andalex's capabilities and Sato's versus what Acorn and Cold have managed to do in this game. And this is why you're seeing them push up with such confidence. However, we do know these are all players that are very much qualified to be here, quite literally and figuratively. So you cannot let your guard down. One mistake and it'll be the end of your game, that's for sure. Even now, Cold and Acorn say, hey, you know what? You have the high ground. You defended well. We're going to back off.
Sato and Andalix are definitely hoping that they'll be able to turn things around here in match 4, but at the very least, they do know that they'll still have that opportunity for VOD review. Maybe reconsider exactly what their plan of attack might be, but Flixie and Vico already making sure to tear apart everything that resides at the bottom. They know that they're gonna have to deal with some other teams soon, but they like their position of control right now.
Got to get that medal one way or another. For Thomas HD and Queasy, they do the same, scrapping every opportunity up here. And you know, Thomas HD and Queasy, we kind of talked about their drop spot being so desolate, right? There's no teams nearby. It really is such a significant difference, I would say, between, you know, how their tournament is going down here versus the likes of really any other team. Another team that had a similar position was Booga and Aviv, but we haven't even been able to see what they can do. Because if we were to look north, they have a similar situation, really no one nearby, but what is it that's missing there, right?
Yeah, they kind of have to forge their own path, create their own engagements, essentially, and hope that teams are willing to even bother with fighting back, because so many different circumstances now. We've seen teams just immediately go on the retreat, go on the defensive, not necessarily looking to be as aggressive, and that has definitely resulted in some teams struggling with their surge. But Peterbot Pollo,
no,
medallion as well.
Wait, I want to.
Plenty of ammunition as well inside that striker burst assault rifle. So Peterbot Pollo hoping to secure this forecast tower for themselves.
See what happened there though? They stepped to that forecast tower. Vino and Clicks is like, time to go. So we saw in the interview, Peterbot was willing to call out Clicks and Vino and say, I dare you to come meet me, but we all know it's probably not a good idea.
Ren_King Peaceado
however, from second place, they fall down 5 placements after the last game because of an early game fight. This time, after weighing even what happened there, they feel like it was worth it. And they're coming back into another pretty battle here.
But for Yuma and Rise, already running relatively thin as far as their material count is concerned. And it seems like Yuma would at least prefer to disengage for the time being, but a shot from overhead, Swizzy in the distance, but I think it walks still behind. Yuma and Rise might find themselves unintentionally pincered here. Slurp Trek gonna buy them a little bit more time though. They'll at least be able to box up, hope for some safety net to come into play, but at least with the shield refresh, now they're hoping to maybe take that fight, because at the very least, they need the Siphon materials.
Yeah, they'll need to get the damage. They'll need to get active here. Muzz and Epic Whale on the move right now. What we've noticed about this team is those mid games. Really, really, really tough positions to be in, as they found themselves in just a jam. It really feels like from time to time, but if they can just overcome that, see what they did right in game 1 and mirror that performance.
Isn't this Epic
Whale? See them jumping right back up into the conversation in no time.
And something else that's important to know, you have to keep in mind, Muzz and Epic Whale, they're kind of landing at that same drop as Reet and Ritual over by Doomstot, except Reet and Ritual, they are fully in control of the Mysterio, and they like to collect that mythic Sovereign shotgun. That's the most important aspect for those two by Doomstot. So for Muzz and Epic Whale, I think at times they may have considered, do we want to challenge for that Mysterio bot and take over the goods that Reet and Ritual have essentially been hoarding all to themselves? But at the same time, that's not going to be an easy accomplishment. It seems as though Regan Ritual got the advantage there.
It's not looking good right now. Teeny is here, Chop is here, and they take down Murstache and Malabuka, but not before Chop gets finished there. And it seems like there was another team. Is that Rise and Yuma that just stepped up out of nowhere? No, it's DT Rise and Cooper, and A players. Agers and Rise obviously playing with one another. Cooper and Kanata, they're in the distance, side by side.
This could be a big moment, though, for Rise and Agers. They've been trying to claw their way up the leaderboard, essentially, and the same could be said for Cooper and Kanata. And Restored Real is bound to draw a little bit more attention. Look at Teeny just trying to squeeze his way out of there, fully understanding
top 50.
it
Maybe
is
he's
not
not even
worth
top
sticking
50
around at
yet.
this point. Too much attention having been drawn.
Take a look at this. The open edit Malabuka Murstache falls. So Teeny still earns a little something here. It's not for nothing.
Good
but
Buga. Yeah.
losing his teammate in the process. We're not even sure if he gets the reboot card. So we'll see how that develops in the coming moments. But first, and Ritual have a big task in front of them, and that's currently escaping the grips of Asia's KO time.
And something else that's important to know, you have to keep in mind, Muzz and Epic Well, they're kind of
currently escaping the grips.
Just trying to squeeze his way out of there, fully understanding it is not worth sticking around at this point. Too much attention having been drawn.
Take a look at this. The open edit Malabuka Murstache falls. So Teeny still earns a little something here.
Worth the squeeze at this moment. Sharam, Zagu though, seemingly in control of the weapons bunker for the time being. Zagu already at the bottom of it. He's gonna make his way over to that weapons mod bench as well. Make sure to prioritize exactly all the little goodies he would prefer, but Ritual, they've had an opportunity to recuperate, feeling healthier. They're ready to re-engage with Sharam and Zagu, but they have to be careful. Fully understanding he can't just recklessly spin corners.
Ritual looking for an angle here. Armor Wall's gonna put a full-on stop to that and force to the outskirts here. Another wall comes down. Zagu and Sharam are really tempting them now, baiting them into these terrible peaks, and they're winning every single trade here. The one downside, though, is that they're running halfway now on armored walls as they've used half of the reservoir, but they own the bunker. Who cares at this point, right? This is a full-on refresh opportunity now.
Slightly better situation, at least for Sharam and Zagu and Reet and Ritual. They've spotted out our material count. It's entirely too low. We weren't able to capitalize on finding an elimination or two, so now they have to fixate on just rebuilding their material count in the first place, and that as well is bound to cause a little bit of, trickle effect damage toward Reet and Ritual's game plan long term, because they're missing out on surge tag damage time.
Speaking about Aviv and Buga, they've taken now Reason, now looking to see if they can claim Vadil here, just aside the Doom's courtyard. It's a big rotate in, Vadil left by himself. Everyone decides to back off. Very interesting that two duos shown up, and the two duos are like, wait, there's someone else here. So very unaware of what's happening at the moment. For that reason, they give their respect, and I'm sure Vadil's trying to wrap his head around, where did everyone go?
That's a different level of paranoia altogether. I mean, no one, at least inside of those boxes, and yet Vadil still crouching around, still trying to stay as tucked away as possible. Can't really fault him, though, when you factor in the caliber of player that all of these teams are essentially stacked up against.
Are they storm?
Yeah, there's good reason to be concerned about which wall you face next, but Vico, Flixie, back into the thick of it. Seems like they've got a slight overhead advantage. Right side peak, though, not going to be there just yet for Vico. Flixie instead, different approach altogether. He's on the same level as Ed and Persa, just putting immediate pressure onto the walls in front.
Any team that can pop off today and finish inside the top 10 will have a real fighter's chance to run away with things tomorrow. Tomorrow's a 1.5x day, so setting up your foundation is so critical to your success. Vico gets just punished by Persa's shot there.
Aiden, are you still making your team?
sucker punch as well for Vico when you really think about it, because the way that he was charging in there, it seemed like he had zero concern that anybody was going to be able to piece him up in that moment. Nearly met his own downfall for it, but Versa, they're actually finding the smallest angle, tearing up the toes there from Vico and Flixie.
Very, very important tags. That's going to set them up with a very solid damage lead now. Off they go. Meanwhile, Reet looks like he's continuing to get active, but look, 4th place is out, 5th place is out. The standings now starting to gap away. Thomas HD and company, Trulix and company are the closest two, but our 1st place lead, Peterbot and Pollo here, set up for the to be there. It's this team right here.
Nah, for me, it's the fact that Peterbot just lit King up, trying to rip by the side of Rift Island there. And Peterbot, we heard it direct when he was doing that interview with Adam Savage. My aim is on another level right now, and that might be the most perfect example imaginable. He is definitely looking like a bit of a menace there now, with the height leverage as well from the top of Rift Island. Other teams have really got to be wary of exactly how they're choosing to rotate, and I think that this is a prime opportunity as well for Peterbot and Pollo to essentially control the flow of the lobby.
Yeah, and it's good that he gets to show it off as well, but talk about controlling the flow of lobby. Reet is keying right now, on the move, on the hunt here. Reet and Ritual continue to find teams to fight. This time, even with a health at disadvantage, they have the height advantage.
Yeah, but Reet, he could get full HP whenever he wanted to. He's gonna go ahead and split a Mekid off with Ritual as well, and they'll take this moment to pause the action, make sure that they are as healthy as possible. We even get an opportunity to hear direct how that elimination went down just now for Reet.
Got it.
140, 140!
Nice, I'm getting in.
I'm jumping in. I'm in.
Full box.
Bro.
On me.
100 dead.
Nice, bro. Chill now. Chill now.
At the body.
The tone set up though. He's like, all right, chill now. Like, let's relax.
It's like it's too crazy.
Yeah, we got it. Really showing us the emotion that happens when a team clashes. Things really peak up.
It's crazy. There's still that was a left side peek through the window edit, and Reet, the fact that he's able to come out on top for that one.
I think that's a problem he's got. We've seen him actually get
he loves that.
Punished for that. Jumping to a Jonas and Pixie though. South side here, zone's pulling far north. They notice that they have to move sooner rather than later. This is where strategy really comes into play here.
See that drop in the damage threshold though? 515 above, immediately chopped to 189. It's evident that everyone's kind of picking up the pace here. Janice, Pixie, fully aware of the fact that they've now got a duo right next to them. It's gonna be Andalex and Sato even. And Andalex, he knows he's got so much ground, so much time he needs to make up for it. But Andalex immediately 180'd upon Pixie. Gonna be there for the supportive cover. Now it's all up to Sato to keep his duo's hopes alive. And Sato calls through.
Good tag there, and honestly, it was a combination of the damage Andalex put down. Sato coming in to finish the fight, but someone else has arrived. It's another solo. Just looking, it's the reigning and returning champion Cooper, who's here to fight. He's got a huge disadvantage on the HP, but he is still looking to tag, but no. Sato finding his stride in the late half of the tournament after being, again, contested fully up against Acorn and Cold. Come out of that, overcome that drop spot, and now find themselves 3 eliminations in super quick succession.
But even though it's a brief moment of relief here for Sato, the fact that he managed to survive this whole exchange, unfortunately still, it's all an uphill battle. Sure, you've got 3 eliminations, but you are a solo now, trying to make your way out of the storm. Not sure how that's gonna pan out for him, but this is massive right now. Peterbot, Pollo, sure, they might have a little bit of a gap between themselves and everybody else on the leaderboard. 56 points to be exact, but at the same time, Peterbot, he's already a solo in the 6th zone.
Peterbot may have his community on his back, but the rest of this lobby, the rest of the world is hoping he does not perform well. Acorn is going to be the resulting team of the reason Pollo is down and out. And this is good for everyone else. Obviously not so good for Peterbot, right? He's got such a strong lead, he could break away with it and nearly solidify a first place to close the day. However, this gives everyone else a realistic chance now that they can take down basically the kings of NA.
And that looked more so like Acorn and Cole delivering a much-needed heat check to Peterbot and Pollo, kind of just reminding them, you might be first right now, but if you're not careful, we'll still look to take over. Granted, Acorn Cole currently sitting outside of the top 5 even. They know that they also need some very valuable eliminations and placement points if they want to make up the difference at this stage, but Rise still operating as a solo, doing what he can, but there is just so much that stands between him and his next movement.
Yeah, it's not looking too good right now, and all things considering, with 100 damage below, he's got to do something big here. Now, teams are going to start moving, so maybe it's not wise of him to move first just yet, but gotta hit these tags when the opportunities open up here. First one's a miss. No second reveals itself, so now he has to push his way in. He sees Crisp here. Crisp comes in. This is one of his chances, and he finds the tag there. Meanwhile, what's happening on the other side? Clicks also similar pressures, but they find the Asian chance of Bobby on the backside of the zone there, and Larpex, and take them down.
Yeah, that was a nice moment as well for Clix and Veno, because as you can see, they are just barely managing to stay above water at this point. 27 above on the damage threshold, be exact. And Veno already taking note, some teams that might be elevated a little bit higher than their current position, but Yuma has absolutely no idea where these shots are pulling in from. It looks like he's getting lit up from 2 different directions, and Batman Booga actually going to be the one credited for that takedown, but Veno, Clix just chopping directly through the center. They've done a decent job as well of making sure to go unnoticed.
Clix out of ammunition for his rifle. This is the worst we have seen this duo, and arguably the most important game right now. So all they have is each other at this point, and this is why they continue to remain below the surge, is because they don't really have the rifle ammo to find the tags. These shotgun pelts, I mean, they're not much. They're not going to do much. You have to take one of these wall-to-wall exchanges here. Goldberry Fizz comes out. Great catch here. It's Rapid who falls. And I think, again, they lose the elimination credit. However, the damage, though, is theirs.
And the body loot as well.
Very
Veno
nice.
just practically refreshed the max mats. But most importantly of all, MDF, they've got the relief that they needed as far as that surge damage is concerned. Veno clicks on a box up momentarily, but Thomas HD from above. The Monarch pistol just continuing to pose such a massive problem for everybody else looking to rotate inwards.
The power of knowing where the zones are going, it almost feels like they just have it all locked in. Thomas HD and Queasy here continue to do these wonderful rotates, the first to take a stab at some of this positioning, and it's starting to show off.
They've got half of their game plan already formulated in live action. They took height for the time being. Now they just need to not get eliminated. Peterbot as well, fighting his way through this lobby, refusing to budge. You would think that he's still a fully intact duo with the way that he plays. So much swagger inside of his own gameplay. Veno also barely managing to cling on to life, but 5 eliminations as well for Clix and Veno at this stage.
I was gonna say barely holding on, but Veno was there still. Just Flowberry Fizz, the refreshes now, things are starting to come together. Peterbot's got his eyes on the prize here, though. This is the villain arc for Peterbot right now, unfolding before our eyes here. As he continues to swing his way through this crevice here, but no! Doesn't take the first shot as a warning, and that's a huge mistake now. The first mistake we have actually seen from Peterbot right there. He should have known better.
Clix on the other hand, he's gonna get credit for Gadu. Sia might still be kicking somewhere, but at least for right now, Clix, Benno, they're managing to find the refreshes when they need them most. Flixie and Vico, though, they've taken note of the team across the way from their current position. They're looking to try and get the chop from secondary height. Flixie, in fact, even hoping that he continues to build up. He's trying to cut off Queasy, and he finds him falling straight to the ground.
Queasy jumps up and just gets melted there. That's the problem with the Flowberry Fizz. Unfortunately, now Vico and Flixie have a real opportunity here to take high ground, secure it, solidify their spot straight to the end game. Meanwhile, noticeable names live. Booga, Aviv, Quanti, and Cone still standing. Ed is in this lobby. Acorn and Cold are still alive.
Wow.
And the save from Thomas HD onto Queasy, though, was definitely not something I saw coming.
Acorn and Cold now, they're gonna opt to layer swap through the low ground, making their way, crossing over all this natural terrain provided by Castle Doom. But again, the high ground, it belongs to Vico and Flixie. They are seeking out full control of this fourth lobby here, and everyone is folding underneath them. Flix down to his final 2 HP. Will he have a moment? Finally gets an opportunity to pop a small shield potion, but again, just scrambling, doing everything in his power to survive. He's got players funneling in ult from every direction, and it's not going to be enough. Clix has been taken out.
He did find Booga there, though. A big elimination for him. Look at this. Trulex and Chicho once again in the end game. Just going for the heal off, looking for a top 10 solidified spot. But it's not going to be easy. This Castle Doom is very hard to navigate across. Remember, these walls are extremely high HP, but look who's back in action. Thomas HD is almost figuratively and literally putting Queasy on his back this game right now, and Queasy gave him the credit last round, and rightfully so. We're seeing him really work for it. Acorn falls now. Booga, Aviv still alive here. We couldn't have found a better time to talk about this.
Oh, here's Booga.
Because they've managed to rat their way through the castle here.
They just
and now
spectated
finding
Booga.
Max to stay alive and get back. Meanwhile, Flixie and Vico jumping their way back up into this top 5.
Flixie and Vico from the rooftops now by Castle Doom. Booga and Aviv functioning out of the attics exclusively, but Thomas has lost Queasy yet again, only this time no opportunity for the revive. In fact, he's down and out for the count as well. Scroll doing everything he can to just try and make it back into zone, but it's all up to Vico and Flixie to hold their ground. They're gonna cut Scroll off in the process. Vico nearly gets credit for the knock, but instead we'll have to watch that one slip away.
Vico finds that extra elimination, though. They are slowly cutting down the poles here. Getting closer and closer to the roots. Give a look at it. 7 elims for Flixie and Vico. Booga and Aviv.
Looks like Vico.
Not looking to jump up into the flames. That are Vico and Flixie. Give it a second, though. No match. They have to continue to farm here. And like we talked about, this building, very, very interesting to try to navigate through. Armored wall comes in. At the very least, Booga's trying to, you know, make this a war of attrition, and they find an elimination. Another big one here. More points here. Vico and Flix are coming down.
Right there.
They had enough of the weight. They find Aviv on the backside there. Vico losing a lot of HP.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Vico nearly getting trapped in the process there, but unfortunately for Aviv and Booga, they're going to get caught inside the structure. They're trying to work their way through. Aviv nearly has it. Vico and Flixie, just a little bit more HP to work with. They bring this one home.
And it's almost like they just keep doing it now. Vico and Flixie, a very, very clearly strong duo here, showing up in spades, putting up the performance, and you can see the look on their faces is expression of pure excitement. They're ready to
Alrighty, would you please put your hands together for your game 4 winners? It's Vico and Flixie! Come on up here, boys. Come on, enjoy the moment, enjoy the moment. Unbelievable there. You guys are always so smiling, so happy, and you must be very happy with the Victory Royale. Talk me through the moment there. We saw that taking the high ground, Queasy goes down, courtesy of beaming him out the sky, your partner in crime here. That was the goat right there. That was a big moment, right? Capturing that high ground really made that game yours.
Yeah, exactly. We just decided to key like forecast this game, because we said if we get forecast, we just guarantee win, you know, because we needed like a win to get comeback. So we just decided to play high on that, and then yeah, they just counter sprayed, and Felix just said the spray. yeah.
It was pretty special.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was. I mean, talk us. You came very close. I think it was game 2. You guys came second place as well. You had a really kind of like really tight go of things there. But eliminations are working well. Standings too. You guys are really flying up the leaderboard again now. Flixie, what's it been like first 4 games into global championships for you?
It's feeling really good, and yeah.
How have you been navigating these last zones as well for you guys? How are you kind of working together to make sure that you always get into that end game?
Well, we always look at the zone each other, and then we just like talk about it, how we're gonna rotate, if we're gonna early or late rotate. Like we just look at the zone, and then from the zone on, we just decide what we're gonna do, and we talk about each other. You know, we're not doing single decisions.
Obviously, this being day 1 of 2 as well. 2 games left today. What is the aim, the end goal for today? What would you be happy with finishing up? Is it absolutely top of the leaderboard, or there or thereabouts kind of in the? What do you guys want to do these next 2 games?
I think if you're top 5 after the first day, you can easily win because it's 1.5 point. But I want to be first after first day.
Okay, and I've got to ask you, Vico. I know you like being out in front of a crowd here, you and Flixie. How does it feel to be out here in Fort Worth enjoying? In fact, make some noise for Vico and Flixie, everyone, please. How does that feel when you got the crowd behind you as well?
It feels great. I couldn't like be more happy about it. It's just like I feel the need to perform better, you know.
You just got a victory royale.
Exactly, but
this guy.
Better. I can always do better, you know.
This is it. They can always do better. They're striving for the very top. One more time, please give it up for Vico and Flixie. Game 4 winners there. We're going to take a very short break. 2 games left today on this day 1 of FNCS Global Championships. Do not go anywhere. We'll see you in just a second's time.
Welcome back to the FNCS live from Dickey's Arena. Every time we get that countdown, everyone in here starts to count down, and that's how we know. It's like, oh, time to focus back up. We are back in it. Now, after game number 4, Vico and Flixie pick up a victory royale. Guys, that was just a crazy game that for like a moment I really believed was Thomas HD and Queasy's game. Oh, and then they just said, nah, Height's ours.
Exactly that, right? Me and Levin were like, oh yeah, this 8th zone position from Queasy and Thomas. They had the entirety of that hill/mountain kind of covered. It was like, wow, they have so much terrain covered, and that's going to grant you free high ground for the rest of the game. Flixie, though, gets ahead of the moving zone. Queasy jumps just a little too high with that Flowberry Fizz activated. Stuck in no man's land all the way up there in the sky, and what a great bit of shots from Flixie to kind of secure the high ground for them.
Yeah, unfortunately, probably not the best there from Queasy, right? Obviously, they start getting sprayed, so you know there's a team applying pressure on you. You fizz just in case you get chopped, but then you ain't got to jump, man. You jump and they instantly beam you, punished right there.
Is it one of those things where that last game where they had the high ground, right? They didn't really get pressed for it. This game, they are getting pressed for it, right? Did they kind of like forget that can kind of happen?
I'm not sure if they forget. I think it was one of those ones where you maybe just slip up in the moment, right? It's a very minor mistake. Unfortunate to get caught out by it. But from there, right, when Vico and Flixie went on to take the game, the crowd in here, they were rooting for one team and one team only to win that one, right? Everybody wanted Booga to win. You could feel everybody was getting ramped up every time Booga was on the screen. But Vico and Flixie ruined that party, and you know, they've been ruining a lot of parties for people this year. These guys have been setting the lobbies on fire that they've been in, and it's good to see them get a win here.
Crazy as well, they call out that forecast, right? Just allowing them to kind of have knowledge of where we're going next. That's just one less thing we have to think about. Now all we have to do, ruin your game plan, Booga. Nice try, man. I know where you're going. I'm going to make sure you get boxed out. And then, of course, on the other side, right, you're looking at Booga, and it's like, I have to navigate this building. I'm running on fumes, and these guys are just sitting up there waiting for me to come around this corner.
Yeah, the castle was playing a big part of that. But yeah, me and Levin were like, wait, they're at a forecast tower, and it's not the one over by the railway.
Right,
so some adaptations, right? Maybe that's what we kind of can see from that halftime coach cooking something up.
I mean, yeah, that was a big shock to me. We've all been discussing where they're going to fight Bryson Bolts for the forecast near Reckless Railways. They said, forget that forecast. We're going to head over to, you know, Reels and fight over at the Reels. I mean, they took down, I think, Malibu and Masashi in that game, right, which is a team that's been fighting for that a lot as well. They really made waves in that game, and if they're going to keep on just going for whichever bunker they see fit, I mean, those teams are going to have to really struggle to get a grip on the game.
And we see, because of that game, now 1 point behind Peterbot and Pollo, right? And just being on the flip side, at the very beginning of the game, we tune into Peterbot, and you called out something specific. Wow, 600 above Surge. Yeah. This is kind of crazy. But then it all falls apart for Pollo, right? And then Peterbot's put in that situation. He has to solo clutch. And he does put on points, and he's kind of keeping them just at bay. But now these guys are neck and neck.
I mean, what a crazy thing, right? That game was going so well. They were just max. The storm surge are going well. I myself have no idea where Acorn and Cold came from. The decisions to just land on a duo right there is an incredible one by Acorn and Cold. Worked out for them. They picked up Pollo right there, and 5th place for that duo, actually.
Yeah, not too bad at all. I mean, I'm looking at those two teams at the top, and the parallels, my mind instantly goes to the sort of narrative people were building earlier this year. Peterbot and Pollo dominated. You know, everybody was looking at, is this the new formula to have two amazing fraggers with each other? When Vico and Flixie joined forces, everyone said, are they trying to replicate that dynamic? Are they the EU, you know, Peterbot and Pollo? Even, you know, Vico's acknowledged those comparisons himself. He said, hey, look, we still got a bit more to do to get to that level. But right now at the Global Championships here, 1 point between them, they're clearly at that level, it seems.
Just a crazy situation to look at. And of course, I wanted to highlight Booga taking it there to placement, right? They only did manage to pick up the 2 eliminations, but they take it to that 2nd place. That's a bunch of placement points.
Something about Booga, right? And this usually happens on a seasonal basis where it's like the start of a new season is usually kind of slow for him when it comes down to tournaments and everything like that. But then whenever it comes down to the actual FNCS, which of course happens towards the end of the season, he always picks it up, I swear. And I would love to kind of see that trend over the course of these 12 games. Have that happen at the Global Championships. A slow start so far. Let's pick it up.
I mean, again, really unlucky at the end there, right? With the way the zones pulled through Castle Doom. Yeah. I think my biggest critique of Booga over the last sort of year or so has been, he's really great at just being able to get his team into the top 10 consistently, right? But when it comes to win condition, putting his team in a position to actually win the games, sometimes it's felt a bit lackluster. In that game, though, it was excellent, right? The way they claimed low. And again, if it wasn't for a bit of unlucky zone pulling, they might have a chance to actually really win that game from Vico and Flixie. So really impressive from Booga.
Absolutely. Guys, I want to talk so much more, but we got to get back into the action. Game number 5 is upon us. So, Monster D Face, the best taco. Take it away.
Yeah, I gotta say, I think that went totally different than what I expected. Obviously, given that Peterbot and Pollo fell early, now we have 4 teams in the race that are really close.
What really got me, though, Monster, was hearing the way that the Dickies Arena just erupted the moment that Peterbot actually went down and Peterbot and Pollo were full-on eliminated. It's crazy to think that they're actually trying to battle against all the odds here.
Yeah, like I said before, it's everyone against everyone here. Match 5 is right. Match number 5 is kicking off here and now, and the standings couldn't be more closer. A couple of teams, though, are starting to find their strides, right? The top 10 ever evolving. A lot of those notables jumping up a significant amount now, really solidifying themselves in somewhat of a healthy position. Even if all things end now, the amount of points that teams like Acorn and Colt and above have earned is looking pretty good.
A little bit more respect here coming out of Huddy and Kovacs, though. Sky Scroll, they're actually going to take over the 2nd floor here at the mansion at Rebels Roost. And the biggest advantage right now for Sky is the fact that he's managed to find Sovereign Shotgun, but at the same time, there's a hammer pump here for Kovacs. And both of these duos, I think, acknowledging the fact that if they take a little bit more time to loot, it could go slightly better. But this could be disastrous. Murstache, Malabuka, they already started to get a little bit more caught up than they would have liked. They dropped 3 placements after the results of that last lobby and find themselves currently situated in 8th. And Alex Worthy, they're trying to make them sure that they're the first team to fall even.
Yeah, Alex has a lot of HP here, but Worthy's a little worse for wears. Worthy falls, and we've already seen 1v2 today. Let's not make it another. Power Alex is already pushing the agenda here. Well played for Australia's Alex and Worthy from Team Power, putting up the numbers. And you know, if things continue to go that way, they'll see themselves in a good standing. But you can see it's not easy by any means to get the first drop in the first weapon. And talk about tough fights that could have went any way. Acorn and Cold seem to have had things slightly favor them this time around.
Yeah, but at the same time, Cold losing Acorn and Alex Sensado may have done just enough damage. Fortunately for Cold, he is looking relatively undisturbed here at Brutal Beachhead, but any of those other teams lingering around that southern zone in the desert area happen to catch wind of the fact that Cold is a solo, and the reboot ban might be the biggest heads-up opportunity there. Could be disastrous, but Alex, Worthy, the Power Fellows, they don't even get to rejoice in their celebration of coming out on top because Agers and Rise have arrived to the party.
So have Batman, Booga, and Rapid coming from the high ground there, finding tags onto Rise, almost saving the day at this point for Team Power. Agers, DT, Rise now have to back off, unaware of what all happened here. Meanwhile, Alex saves his trusty teammate here.
He's got the stairway to heaven up there, though, man. That's kind of insane. Restored Reels certainly getting relatively active, but Alex Worthy probably just happy about the fact that they're going to have an opportunity to keep this one going. Stronger in numbers for sure. Pico, Flixie, though, they seem like they've really been heating up. Shadow hoping that he can cool them off, but Pico at the same time, he knows so much damage has been done, but he's going to find himself on the receiving end this go-round. It's all down to Flixie to clutch up.
Flixie's very good, but going against Shadow here, I do think Shadow is an extremely strong box fighter. The edits come in, though. Look at how fast Flixie manages to respond, but still Shadow with the better shots overall. And now a time to heal here. Flixie has to respect this duo now, and I think he knows that. Tries to go up to find and secure his elimination. Can he track it back here is the question. Seems like he knows where it is, more or less.
At the very least, I think Flixie wants to ensure that whether or not he wins his exchange between himself and Shadow. In fact, Virgo had all the goodies that Flixie could have possibly wanted. It was a med kit that came out of the body loot. So pressure is on now for Shadow. Very high likelihood that Virgo was able to communicate. He got my med kit. And so that means that Shadow has got to act fast if he wants to prevent Flixie from reaching 200 HP again.
He also gets the material, right, which Shadow only has 2 mats of now. So what was once a very promising situation for Shadow is not looking like that anymore. 2AM Shadow gets the first tag put on him. It's not looking good anymore. The jump shot is no good, and Flixie clutches up. And there's not a duo in sight at the moment, so he should be able to save Vico. And I know we put the focus on Vico and his potential, but now you can see he is equally met with a very strong partner.
But you know that every single one of these players has got their eyes set on that elimination feed as well. So for Peterbot and Pollo, they might have at least some slight indication that there's been trouble, at least in match number 5 here for Vico and Flixie. They could look to try and circumvent this route that Vico and Flixie traditionally like to go after and potentially cut them off, maybe even look to ensure that they can maintain that first place position if you take out second.
This update right now that we're getting onto Clix and Vino, who's on the move here, just north of the Sandy Steps, but they're seeming to double back. Something wasn't right up there. They're backing on off now. A lot of material to make up for here, so bit of a scrappy start. No eliminations tell us that the Australian team of Damo and Resigns escaped the drop. Meanwhile, Victor V and Paper possibly in a fight against Chapentini here shortly.
Wow, talk about Medkit Nation though for Victor V. Chapentini are gonna have their work cut out for them if they wanna take up an exchange here between Paper and Victor V. But most importantly still, Paper and Victor V, they have amassed so many boxes surrounding this forecast tower. Chapentini were looking to try and take down for the forecast keycard first, but immediately Paper, Victor V, look at a collapse. Chap fully cracked Victor V. Paper, no. They've got
Ren_King Peaceadu said, top 5 streamer is a 331.
Save his own life.
Almost put through a full edit course right there. Victor V at 3 eliminations right now. Flexing how good of a player he really is. Don't let his face fool you. He has experience under his belt. Chat, clearly better on the standings at the moment, but not by much. It's a point separating them now, as these 3 eliminations have really jumped them up. And look, it's all for everything, right? They have the card that they need for the rest of the Storms here. Chap has to just back off at this point, otherwise he'll start to lose his tournament opportunity here. Game 5 being very late into the day. These are the last chances to set yourselves up with points here, so you gotta put your ego aside.
Well, you say Chap might need to back up, but with the way that Rise and Agers are closing in, Paper, sure, he's gonna confirm that forecast for himself and Victor V, but at the same time, if they're not careful on the disembark from the forecast tower, Flaming Boost Tube could pose some issues. It seems like Rise and Agers were setting up in a position to try and protect it, try and maybe get a knock-on elimination for any teams looking to take it.
Now, all things considering, the point gap between 6 to top 20 is very, very close. Things start to jump up towards the top 5, so even a team like Paper and Victor V have a lot of opportunity here to really ramp up. Meanwhile, Thomas HD just giving us a show, showing us what he can do with that Monarch pistol. He does it without the scope this time around, so all the more impressive.
That makes me sick to my stomach watching Thomas HD use any sort of sniper-esque weapon, you know? Even though it's the Monarch pistol at the same time. He's just so pinpoint accurate, it's ridiculous, but Batman Booga, Rapid, they're trying to get a little bit of an uprisal here, and Rapid, he's got visuals in his sights, beautiful right side peek, perfect moment to open up, but Visuals immediately looking to retreat. And he's gonna go side by side, hip to hip one more time with his duo.
Great tag there for Rapid to set them up, a big 108, but Visuals climbs his way back into a fighting stance here. Clearly, they're not content for fighting for this position here of the bunker. They back off. Booga and Aviv, we get the early update with them for the first time to really see what is unfolding for Bugha. No shotgun. Oh wait, yeah, he does. Got a little loadout going on here. Aviv as well on the move right now.
It's a nice rotation so far off the launch pad from the peak of that mountain, but the main difference that I've noticed in Bugha and Aviv's game in comparison to what we saw, for example, coming from NA Major 3, typically they like to be aggressive towards the team that is landing on Piney Lane, but that has not been an option for them this game because Toyota and Foley, they're just not willing to take that exchange. They're bailing, they're getting their loot and immediately looking to rotate out, so it's not really leaving Bugha and Aviv anyone left nearby. They're having to forcibly create these storm surge situations, and it's not easy to acquire those tags by any means. You miss one shot, that could be the difference between above or below that damage threshold.
That is true, and speaking about big differences, Peterbot and Pollo just got their hands in on that bunker. Let's not forget the bunker will give you access to that modification bench to change your weapons, right? To get yourself nice and comfortable. And now that they have that, they'll likely be looking for the Rift Island to go ahead and take a fight. Meanwhile, 8 Splitsy and Ovation Vico back in the game, as healthy as ever when things were almost fading away for a moment there here in game number 5. But they're in first place, they're in the lead, and they're looking pretty situated now.
And they're going straight back to home base. Little do they know, though, King Phaser could be a very problematic circumstance, depending on the approach there for Vico and Flixie, but still inside deep the storm. Muzz and Epic Whale. Decent amount of material count, though, but it looks like Muzz is going to have to lose at least one of these medkits along the way, fully intending to just locate what he can inside of the bunker, maybe even make use of that weapon mods bench.
Back on over to the other draw spot, though, with Vico and Flixie here. It's the landing home. Let's see it, though. King and Phaser playing the low ground right now instead of opting for a little bit of a stronger position. So I'm almost calling bait here, but given his stance, all of a sudden, yeah, things switch around really quickly here. King looking for an opportunity, but no. Drop, trying to run here. Phaser must have called back off, and it's not working well. Not right now for them. Vico and Flixie still on the pulse here. Phaser barely gets up to that next layer.
Every shot that Vico lands, it's almost like he's directly telling whoever he's up against, scram. But at the same time, where can King and Phaser actually run to? They are trapped. Vico and Flixie know Reckless Railways like the back of their hands. And sure, I'm aware that King and Phaser, they're bound to have good knowledge as well of the POI, but to the same extent as Flixie and Vico, one of the main takeaways that I got from last night listening to Vico in the player room was him saying, nobody plays Reckless Railways right. We are the only ones that understand this POI, and when somebody is that confident in their knowledge, that's a serious threat.
Yeah, you saw he had every angle. He knew where to cut them off, basically within the building, the structure, and they knew better than to push into the railway itself, given all the cover that's there. So happy with the damage. Meanwhile, Clix and Vino, though, on the move here. Again, no strangers to the storm here. We saw them double back after going north to try to find some tags. Now they're looping their way, again, south and then into the new zone. Everything's starting to piece together. Meanwhile, the standings, one of our top 10 teams are down. Just for that update there, Malabuka and Merstash is that team. Look at this, though. Swizzy, Jacko, from a dub into a fight here, landing on Visuals and Braids now. Looking for the big shot, didn't quite get the maximum damage, but still gets the finish off Visuals there. And all that material, they are right back into it.
The most important part as well for Swizzy and Yapko is that time to elimination was so fast. It's not going to give a real opportunity for, say, somebody like Yuma in the distance to actually have a chance to play catch-up, look to third-party opportunity, because it appears as though Yuma might even be in that solo situation, and when that's the case, you're always hoping that you can kind of just stumble upon an engagement already taking place, maybe get some shots in that might allow you an opportunity to go for a little bit of siphon materials, a knock, elimination, points, placements. is really what everybody is after right now.
Thomas HD and Queasy, damage numbers looking phenomenal right now. I don't think there's anyone beating them in the game here at this given moment. Moving around though. This is the Mount Olympus, right? Home of Quanti and Gone. Should very likely be up top somewhere. Look at this. You got Janice here. You have Kramsu. A lot of the Brazilian teams there. Persa and Ed.
A little bit of a giggle because if the one surge base wasn't enough, Trulix and Chicho have evolved yet again into maintaining 2 separate surge bases even. Meanwhile, Aviv Bugha tangled up a little bit here right now with Swizzy, but we've seen Swizzy perform already once today, MDF. In a 1 versus 2, and this time he still got his duo with them, but most importantly still, Aviv Bugha, they're trying to do what they can to break through some of these builds, but they're just gonna find themselves cut off. They're not able to actually cross the gap just yet because Bugha also needed ample opportunity to make sure that he could regenerate his shield off of what heals they have left, but that's going to be more than enough room for Yapko and Swizzy to just full on disengage.
Bugha and Aviv don't chase either. They just let them go. So it's telling. It shows us that they want another one of those end games. They need another one of those end games, and they can't toss it away. It's a chance for them to go ahead and do just that. But they do need more damage. But talk about that. It seems like Swizzy rotates right into Bryce and Bolt. So
I thought you
too
already
much
had
longer do they fall. But Peterbot and Pollo, the Rift Island, we already know. They hit the mod bench, they're set up, and then straight to the Rift Island every single time here. And now Shari is so low. Storm Surge going to be giving them a big problem here in the coming moments.
The worst part is knowing that it's Peterbot and Pollo. Every time that reveal medallion goes off, it's every 50 seconds, by the way. And again, teams are marked, players are marked for 15 seconds after the fact. That is so much information, and in the hands of somebody like Peterbot and Pollo, it can be devastating for the rest of the lobby, but Cherry, he's managed to find an isolation moment. Worthy trying to do what he can, but the Storm might take him out as is. Instead, Cherry diverts his attention to another Oshi player, and he is going to find Damo in the mix. A couple of knocks, a couple of eliminations. Couldn't have come at a more perfect time.
Look at this, though, the setup from Aviv and Bugha after rotating. They find Swizzy again, so Swizzy was knocked, picked up, and then ultimately falls back to the hands of Aviv here. You can see, yes, 2 eliminations, so starting to really heat up now. Bugha and Aviv come to the late half of the tournament. Wait a second, though. Storm Surge is active now. Damage is starting to add up here. Even with that elimination there, they will need a single tag. These are the chances, and when you miss them, it does end up catching up to you. Down goes Bugha to the Surge. The next tag will take down Aviv, and you know it's over.
It's a tough break. Devastating one potentially, but at the same time, the mental bounce back, the mental fortitude that players like Aviv and Bugha are sure to compose themselves with. See how they bounce back in the final match of day 1 here today, but more importantly still, all these other duos, all these other players that still remain, Monster. Scroll, Sky, trying to scale their way down, but crossing bodies of water, knowing that there's teams already set up on elevation, shots just pouring in from multiple directions, and you're still trying to maintain focus for an open opportunity. Scroll can't even take any sort of chance to heal. He knows that if he pauses 1 moment too long, that's where he'll be taken down. The build count just not where it needs to be. Handful of armored walls remain now for Sky. He's still trying to see if he can get 1 more shot in. Any sort of a break at this point, but essentially MDF, it looks like they're about to fall just outside the placement point zone.
Yeah, he's got Batman Bugha coming right at him as well. Doesn't quite find a chance to find the tag there. Someone else snipes the elimination there too, and all focus starts to aim towards him, but 46 above here, doesn't hold on long, and he just gets melted right out of the game. Meanwhile, Reet and Ritual are down. Rapid and Batman Bugha don't survive the rotate, as you saw there, and